at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. And let's get to it, shall we? 457-9464. That's the number to call in and join in on the conversation. And we got a lot packed for you here today. We got plenty to dive into. The Steelers and Bengals game just got a little bit more interesting. We're going to open up with that. We're going to talk about what is our upset of the weekend heading into week 10. And I think Bengals fans might be happy because I think I'm close. I'm close to maybe rolling the dice and picking the Bengals over the Steelers coming up on Saturday. Not quite there, but I'm getting a little bit closer. And of course, there's a reason for that. You know, the Rona.
The vicious Rona.
The vicious Rona, exactly. The vicious Rona could potentially have an impact on the Steelers in the Bengals game coming up this weekend. Ben Roethlisberger, as well as three other Steelers, are right now put on the COVID list, the COVID IR list right now, of course, as they're going through the testing protocol, Kev, and that could have a huge impact on the Steelers and the Bengals coming up on Sunday. You take a look at the line right now, and of course, the line has been taken away. Steelers were a 7-point favorite heading into the matchup with the Bengals on Sunday. That line has been taken down as, of course, Vegas and the odds are waiting to see, who's going to be quarterbacking this team. Because if it's going to come down to the Steelers' dominant defense going up against the Bengals' paper-thin offensive line and having to rely on, I'm going to feel uncomfortable about that. But if Mason Rudolph is the quarterback for the Steelers for a full 4 quarters, I'm going to take Joe Burrow and the Bengals the entire Sunday. Where are you with this right now? Again, I don't want to make light of a situation where someone has COVID and could potentially miss a game from a health perspective. But that does change some things. I will say this. There were a lot of Bengals fans who were very confident in the Bengals' ability somehow, some way to beat the Steelers even before the news of COVID impacting this matchup this weekend came out. Is that just overconfidence from, of course, the last time they were on the field beating a very good Titans team? Or what is it? I don't get it.
Absolutely. It's the confidence. It's a matchup versus Tennessee that everybody and their mom thought they were going to lose, and they performed well, not only offensively, but defensively as well, causing turnovers, getting the interceptions in the end zone and everything like that, limiting the league's leading rusher to just over 100 yards. So it's the confidence that they had going into the bye week. You figure like, oh, man, we're going to get a little bit healthier and everything like that and get ready, have 2 weeks to prepare for the vaunted Pittsburgh Steelers defense. If Ben doesn't play, you got to go with the Bengals. I mean, just based off of what you've seen last year.
You have to go with the Bengals?
Yes, man. Like when Ben got hurt versus the Cowboys on Sunday and Mason Rudolph came in there, I was surprised he didn't throw a pick six. I was blown away.
Well, it was the Cowboys defense, so that would be why, as far as that goes.
I just have no respect and no love for Mason Rudolph. Like, he's just not it. And I pray to goodness if Ben doesn't play, I pray to goodness they put Duck Hodges in the game, because at the very least, Duck Hodges can move and he can complete a 5-yard out. And you throw enough 5-yard outs to Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool, and you run a slant with Juju over the middle, you can convert some third downs. You can't convert anything with Mason Rudolph. I'm sorry. So I would go with the Bengals if your starting quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, isn't playing. And also your starting middle linebackers on the COVID list, Vince Williams as well. So the league's number 1 tackler for losses in the league is on the COVID list. So it's looking great for us.
Yeah, again, if you're just tuning in, the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Give the show a call at 457-9464. Listen, stream, and watch. Listen at 1410 Wing AM. Stream us live at wingam.com. And, of course, you can watch us live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, and you can watch and interact that way as well by chiming in on any conversations we're having. Or if you want to redirect the conversation, you can put your questions in the chat bar, and we'll, of course, address those in pull your Facebook profile picture into the broadcast. And, we have a good time with that. So make sure that you're taking advantage of the multiple ways that you could listen and interact with the show weekdays from 3 to 6 right here on 1410 Wing AM. But again, Brooke Pryor covers the Steelers for ESPN, announced this earlier this afternoon that Ben Roethlisberger was placed on the reserve COVID-19 list and that the Steelers are optimistic that their quarterback will be ready to go for Sunday's game against the Bengals as far as that goes. Now, I'm curious, Bengals fans, because, again, I'm not going to let a few speak for all, but I was pretty surprised at the amount of Bengals fans, especially on social media, were tweeting into the show and following live on Facebook, that were saying, "Oh no," that they're very confident that the Steelers could beat that the Bengals could beat the Steelers coming up on Sunday. Now, when you look at that, the Steelers probably got away with, I hate to say get away with one, because winning's tough in the NFL, as we know here in the state of Ohio. Wins are tough to come by. Even when you're 5-3 and you're winning and you're in the playoff picture, it still feels like you're losing because, there's so much more that goes into winning. You have to look good while doing it too. But I'm curious why Bengals fans felt so confident about their ability to potentially beat the Steelers. And that was even before Big Ben, of course, was announced to be on the COVID list. But you are 8-0. The Steelers are 8-0. They are kind of cruising throughout the season, although I think they are a little bit of a surprise out of the AFC. I think we knew that this team was going to be better with Big Ben coming back, especially after what we saw last year, a team going 8-8 with Mason Rudolph as their starting quarterback and kind of a platoon between him and Duck Hodges throughout the year. That was not a good offensive football team, but their defense was so good last year that somehow, some way, this was an 8-8 team that was a game away from potentially playing in the postseason. In fact, if the playoffs were expanded last year the way they are this year, the Steelers would have been a playoff team, even with Mason Rudolph at quarterback, as crazy as that sounds. But the Steelers are 8-0. And I always do that, so the Eliminator League I'm in, everyone keeps picking, they keep following who the Jets are playing on a week in, week out basis and just picking whoever that the Jets are playing. I don't play that game because just like I think it's very, very hard to go 16-0, I really do think it's almost as hard to go 0-16, and that's coming from a Browns fan who was the last team to go 0-16, and they may lose that crown and hand it off to the Jets when it's all said and done. It is tough to pick a team even as good as the Steelers and even the Chiefs. There's going to be off weeks. There are going to be weeks where you just don't get it done. The bottom line is the Steelers, had they played just a slight better team this past Sunday, they didn't bring their A game against Dallas. It's not like Dallas played extremely well and was just taking away the strengths of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers were basically trying to give that game away. They may have survived their off game. The reason I have a hard time picking the Bengals over the Steelers is because Pittsburgh played so poorly against the Dallas Cowboys. Had the Steelers come out and just dominated the Cowboys, I would be more willing to accept the idea that the Bengals could potentially pull off an upset, mainly because you're not going to play perfect every week. Right. You're going to take your foot off the gas on some weekends. You're not going to respect every opponent. The Bengals are an opponent that you can look at and not respect, and they could potentially catch you sleeping. Maybe that's what happened with the Titans. I don't know. But I do know this, because the Steelers played so poorly against the Cowboys, Kev, I just have a hard time believing that a Mike Tomlin coached team with Big Ben on the field is going to come out flat in back-to-back weeks. You mentioned yesterday they played poorly against Baltimore, but that's because all teams, especially all offenses, they look poor against that great defense in Baltimore. I just think last week was a matter of you would love to get up for the Dallas Cowboys game, but you just know how poor they are. It'd be tough to get up for Andy Dalton being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. You had some guy no one's ever heard of before leading this offense for the Cowboys. I don't think they came in with their mental A game against Dallas this past weekend. I don't expect 2 weekends in a row of a Mike Tomlin, Big Ben-led team coming out flat energy-wise, and that's why I'm picking against the Bengals, not because I'm a Bengals hater. It's just because Pittsburgh played poorly last week. There's no way in hell they're playing poorly 2 weeks in a row.
The defense is going to come out ready to play. It's a situation where I think about, remember Linsanity? Remember how crazy that was in New York? He was playing like he was Steve Nash for 2 weeks straight. And then he showed up to play the Miami Heat and LeBron James and D Wade and Chris Bosh and Mario Chalmers. He couldn't get the ball past half court because they wanted to send a message to say, hey, you're not ready for prime time. And that's something that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense does to young quarterbacks. You think about how they played against Baker this year. All right, the Browns are the new it team and everybody's talking about them. Let's show them who's really the it team. To be perfectly honest, they showed their worth versus the Ravens. causing Lamar to turn the ball over 4 times. So I expect the defense to play lights out, especially if Ben is there, because in that case, they're going to have backup on offense. So I expect a knockout game from the Pittsburgh Steelers defense from them on the Bengals side. I respect Joey B. I think he has a ton of weapons. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. But this first matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think is going to be a rough one for him. It's a double chin strap game for Joey B.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, I do think that the Steelers, they've been the face of this division for over 2 decades now. The Ravens have sprinkled in their success. They've sprinkled in a couple Super Bowls over the last 2 decades, as we know. But they've had a lot of, dips, too.
Yeah.
The Steelers have been very consistent throughout. I mean, if they've had a down year, it's because Big Ben has been out, and even last year with him being out, it's still a 500 team. It's funny, though, you look at this division, it's so young at the quarterback position outside of Big Ben. I joked last year when the Bengals drafted Joe Burrow that the Steelers are the only team in that division that don't have a Heisman quarterback leading the way. I mean, the Baker Mayfield won one at Oklahoma, obviously Joey B, at LSU, and then Lamar, at Louisville. But there are so many young quarterbacks in this division that every other month it seems that we are recrowning a team saying the new face of the AFC North. Mm-hmm. People didn't like it, but when the Cleveland Browns had that that great year out of Baker Mayfield his rookie year, and then they go out and they add OBJ and they start adding all these weapons. Some media went out, including me, said, oh, man, they're setting themselves up to be the face of the AFC North moving forward because we just assumed that Big Ben and the Steelers were about to kind of dip and kind of make their exit and start, rebuilding that next phase. And then that didn't obviously happen. And the Steelers always bring their A game against Baker because they just literally want to drive him into the ground. The Steelers always rise up for the Ravens because Lamar Jackson, MVP, he's a legit talent, and they just can't stand hearing about him, and they bring their A game against him. And now we're going to get to see, they're tired of hearing about Joe Burrow. The Bengals over the last couple of years have flirted. I think it was last year before, they had the Steelers beat.
Yep.
Last year they had the Steelers beat early in the year. Let's just put it this way. The Steelers defense wasn't coming in roaring and ready to go for Andy Dalton. Joe Burrow, everyone's talking about Joe Burrow. Everybody loves Joe Burrow. Everybody that is, except in that Steelers locker room. When that defense, when they put their mind to it, when they want to shut down a quarterback, they do it every single week. You could tell the quarterbacks they respect and can't stand because it's like they just flipped that switch. They did it against Baker. They did it against Lamar. And they're going to do it against Joey B coming up on Sunday in the Bengals. No, that's not me hating. I think I've provided enough evidence to show, hey, this team, they're tired of hearing about Joey B and the Bengals. They're tired about hearing about Baker Mayfield and the Browns coming to take their crown away. They're tired of all the talk being about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens as if they're just, head and shoulders better than the Pittsburgh Steelers in that division. To me, I think it's going to be a long day for Joey B with or without Big Ben, but I do think no Big Ben and how bad the quarterback play is with Mason Rudolph, that's going to open the door to where if the defense doesn't bring their A game, which I don't anticipate, it is going to open the door to the Bengals maybe being able to hang around and make it interesting. I don't see that being the case, Kev, if Big Ben is quarterbacking the Steelers on Sunday.
Man, it's going to be fun. It's definitely going to be fun. I love seeing Ben have to deal with all these young quarterbacks. I remember when he was a young quarterback in the AFC North. Now he has to conquer all these young guys coming up. And like you said, all these guys have something he doesn't have, a Heisman Trophy. And I mean, obviously he has 2 things that they don't have, 2 Super Bowl championships. But he's just like fighting them off. They show pictures when Ben was drafted and these guys were 1 and 2 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like Lamar Jackson is, I want to say he's the youngest of them all. And, he's older. No, Joey B is older than him. Yeah, it's just like, these guys are coming for his crown, so to speak. And it's competition for sure. It's definitely competition. I mean, in my opinion, man, I know you're going to hate to hear this, man, but the Bengals, man, if they play their cards right, if they can somehow, some way in the offseason do something that I'm not a big fan of, but in this aspect, I would like to see it, them sign some free agency situations on the offensive line. Like, I'm a guy that believes in building through the draft, but a position like offensive lineman, linebacker, or a pass rusher, I don't mind spending big bucks. I don't mind spending money.
This is a very deep draft coming up for offensive linemen, though. They're so like everything. Every time you pop on, when they're doing the draft previews for next year already, all they talk about is how if you need offensive linemen, this is the draft to do it. So I think that concerns me for the Bengals because they're going to bite on that. And I'm not against them trying to find their offensive linemen in the draft, but you can't find all of them in the draft. Right. That's why I like what the Browns did this past offseason. They took the kid out of Alabama, but they also went and signed Conklin from Tennessee, and then it ended up, being a great balance. And so I'm with you. I'm not against them going that route, but man, they got to sprinkle some veterans in there too. And right now they're feeling out this line. I don't know. I'm not putting too much stock into what we saw from the offensive line against Tennessee. It's not one of the best defenses out there, but man, he didn't get touched. Joe Burrow didn't get touched. They need to build on that. So it's unfortunate that you go from a team in Tennessee who has no pass rush to a team in Pittsburgh who's nothing but pass rush. Right. There is no in between. I would have loved to see for Cincinnati to go from a team like Tennessee to maybe like a midline team that, even if it's like the Seahawks who don't have a great pass rush, just to, kind of ease him into seeing if this is the line for them moving forward. But we're going to find out. They're going to go from 0 to 100. They're going to go from the Titans pass rush to the Steelers pass rush, and you're going to find out for sure what's going on there. Now, to your point about the future looks bright for Cincinnati. I'm going to take my troll cap off. I'm going to ask this in all seriousness. What is the difference between what we're seeing from the Bengals with Joe Burrow and what we saw from the Browns and Baker Mayfield? Because all of the talk with Joe Burrow is the exact same talk we heard about Baker in his rookie year, right? So why am I supposed to sit here and believe that Joe Burrow's not going to have that decline in his game the way we saw with Baker? Baker had accuracy. He had a strong arm. He did nothing but lead the team down for scoring drives and touchdowns. So that's why I'm saying I think we saw more of an attack from him in his rookie year than from Joe Burrow, at least from a scoring standpoint. So that's why I keep laughing at all of the overreaction to Joey B and some of the other rookie quarterbacks, because we've played this game before. And look what happened. So how do we know that what we're seeing out of Joe Burrow is for real? Because we all thought, even the haters of the Browns knew deep down, man, Baker looks the part. So he doesn't now, but he did that year. That's so for sure.
You're saying the tape card. Let's see what happens with the tape. I don't like the tape card. I love the tape card. I love the tape card because that's the true reality of the situation. Once these smart individuals, especially on defense, lock themselves in a basement for 6 months. And, he hates to throw down the middle of the field. Let's make him throw down the middle of the field. Oh, you know what? He loves rolling right. Let's make him roll left. Like, that's what they do, man. These defensive coordinators, man, they'll be down there all day watching film and figure out your tendencies over a 16-game schedule. It's pretty difficult to, watch one game like, all right, what does he like to do? I don't know, like Tua, like that first game that he started. We have no idea what he likes to do outside of watching his tape from college because he didn't have to do anything.
No, he's good. He's a winner. We're good.
They got up so fast. They had fumble returns, punt returns, interception returns. And he didn't even have to do anything. Like, all right, well, we'll see how you play next week because we don't need you to do anything. Hand the ball off. We get out of Dodge. So I am a guy that believes in the tape and, let's see what they do in their second year because we've been here down this road with RG3. RG3 was the hottest thing smoking. And then he wasn't. Yeah. Second year he wasn't. Same thing with Baker. I'm cool with all this. I'm here for all of it because I'm here for Tua. I'm here for Joey B. I'm here for Herbert. I'm here for all the young quarterbacks. Matter of fact, we think about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, not only he got hurt, but now people are starting to say, man, he ain't that good because they got tape on him. So I want to see it next year. I'm here for this year, but once these guys get tape and then you excel in your second and third year, then I'll be like a buyer on all these guys.
All right, 457-9464. That's the number to call in and join in on the conversation. One more time, 457-9464. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here, hanging out on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're live on Facebook. You can, of course, jump in on the conversation by voicing your opinion on Facebook. Search the Justin Kinner Show. Watch along there. Let's go to that Facebook reaction right now. Doug Morgan, he says, let me make this for those of you who are watching. Let's at least make the text bigger. Doug Morgan says that if they would have lost to the Cowboys, I would be less confident. They are going to slip up one of these games. Of course, Doug Morgan going back and kind of agreeing with me a little bit about the Steelers, saying that had the Steelers lost to the Cowboys, he would, then he would be worried. But that's kind of what I'm saying, that even though Pittsburgh got a win last week, they still played very poorly. You would probably say if they played a team, I'll say it this way. If Pittsburgh plays the way they did against Dallas, because right now Cincinnati is playing better than Dallas. Cincinnati's a better football team than the Dallas Cowboys right now. I will go as far to say that, and that pains me, but I'm going to say it. If the Steelers, the way they played against Dallas last week, played like that against Cincinnati, Cincinnati would have picked up their third win of the season last week. The thing is, I do not see Pittsburgh playing the way they did last week, 2 weeks in a row. That's without my Bengals hater hat on. That is just I would be saying that if the Browns and Steelers played this week, I wouldn't be sitting there saying, oh man, you see how poor they looked, how poorly they played against Dallas, man. If they play like that, we got to win. I would be saying the same thing. We're screwed because there's no way in hell Pittsburgh's playing like that 2 weeks in a row. Matt Sturgeon on Facebook says, as a Bengals fan, I am not confident, but hopeful we can compete. You have to beat the gold standard in the division to move forward. And that's, a lot of times the pressure of facing the Steelers, it's on top of them being really good, but the pressure, it's not just any other game. We like to, I say I hate the Steelers, but I know when the Browns and Steelers play, it's a lot different than when the Browns and Ravens play. I hate the Ravens too, but the Steelers are, to what Matt just said, they're that gold standard in the division of that's who you tell where you're at. If you go and compete with the Steelers, okay, we're close. We're getting there. Mm-hmm. The Browns don't feel like they're close right now. Not after what just happened a few weeks ago. The Ravens, they have to be kicking themselves. Yeah. They've lost to the Chiefs and they've lost to the Steelers. They don't feel good about where they're at right now. So that's where the Bengals are at. Forget records. If the Bengals just compete with the Steelers on Sunday, with Joe Burrow, with all the momentum that they've built, with the success they've had so far with him, man, they're going to feel like they won a Super Bowl if they just lose by a possession or two to the Steelers coming up on Sunday. And heaven forbid they win. I'll never hear the end of it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be some smoke in the city for you.
So that's fine. And then David Shaw. Funny you ask what's the difference between Baker and Joey. You've ripped me for 2 months for saying the exact same. I haven't ripped you for saying that. I've ripped you for trying to act like Joe Burrow has had a better rookie year than Baker. I'm talking about rookies who come in and have success, and teams just automatically assume that they have their future set out for them. And it always, it doesn't always pan out that way. You talked about RG3, the Browns with Baker Mayfield. Although that book hasn't been shut yet, it looks like we're nearing the end of that book, depending on how Baker closes out this 2020 season. 457-9464. Bengals fans, I want to hear from you. How confident are you in your matchup with the Steelers this Sunday? Who we got?
We got Darren.
Darren, how are you, sir? Welcome in.
Hey, how you doing again? I spoke to you yesterday.
2 days in a row. Man, what did I do to get this lucky? How are you? What do you got for us today?
So you were talking about Baker and Burrow.
Uh-huh.
Who had a better team around them there for rookie year?
I would say that Joe Burrow has more weapons around him than Baker did his rookie year, but Baker clearly had the better offensive line than Burrow does.
No, are you sure about that?
Positive.
He has a good offensive line now. He didn't have a good offensive line.
Yeah, he only got sacked. He got sacked like less than half than what he did last year. Of course, they let Zeitler go, which was a big mistake. That's why they went out and addressed the offensive line. He got hit like 40-something times. He got sacked like a ton last year.
Oh, I know, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say their offensive line was that much better. But overall, the Bengals this year are by far more talented than the Browns were Baker's rookie year. I mean, both sides of the field, they were a better team. And, I'm 100% with what you're saying when you're saying you can't say 1 year is going to show you. It's like last year, Baker played pretty poorly. This year, he's been okay. I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar, but I think he could be serviceable. And with the running game, I think we can get to the playoffs and actually advance in the playoffs. Because you saw how we played when we had two healthy, great running backs, and Baker played very well during that time frame. Without one of them, not so much. But no, I definitely think that Burrow, Bengals fans don't need to be pounding their chest too much. They need to wait and see what happens in year 3, not just year 2. You guys have a good one.
Darren, good stuff. Great hearing from you. Yeah, I can't agree with him at all about that. The Browns, Joe Burrow has more weapons offensively than Baker did his rookie year. but the offensive line for Cleveland was really good that rookie year.
Yeah. I want to say Nick Chubb was top 5 in the league in rushing.
No, he was, and Nick Chubb, the big argument was that he wasn't starting. I mean, he kept having big game after big game, and they weren't starting him. They started him later in the year, just like they did with Baker. Now, later in the year, we're talking 2 games for Baker. But, I've talked about the offensive line improvement from one year to the next. I mean, Baker Mayfield was sacked 25 times his rookie year. He was sacked 40 times last year. So last year, you look at Cleveland, you look at Baker, he got sacked 40 times compared to 25 times his rookie year. His receivers led the league in drops last year. So between getting sacked 40 times, which was 5th most in the NFL, and having his receivers lead the league in drops, and having Freddie freaking Kitchens as his head coach, Baker was set up to fail last year. I was very confident that we were going to see a much different Baker this year because, hey, the offensive line was better and they got rid of Freddie. The problem is he doesn't look that much better than last year. He's cleaned his game up, not turning the ball over as much, not being sacked as much. I think he's only been hit 11 times this year. We'll see. But like I said, I can't agree with the last caller that the Browns had a better offense, or that the Bengals have. The Bengals have an embarrassing offensive line this year. The Browns definitely had a better offensive line his rookie year. 457-9464. On to the next Bengals fan. Who we got?
We got AJ.
AJ, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Good.
Hey.
All right, I'm going to sound like delusional Bengals fan, but I smell an upset here. I think it's a trap game. I feel like the Bengals really have something to prove. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for them. Sounds like Roethlisberger's got some stuff going on. Who knows if he's going to even be able to play. Offensive line looked decent last game. I think it's got trap game all over it. It's going to be difficult for the Steelers to go undefeated. They're going to have to lose somewhere. They always say in gambling, whenever the public goes one way, you got to go the other way. And I feel like no one's really giving the Bengals a shot here. So if anything, they're going to make it a close game, cover the spread.
Yeah, And I would agree with you more had the Steelers not just played poorly against the Cowboys. I know I'm repeating myself there. I'll give you that. I'm not going to lie. It was a popular opinion that this felt like an upset week for the Bengals over the Steelers, just for all the reasons you listed, that you can't win them all. Right. You're going to catch, they're building off the confidence, especially after that win over the Titans. But I do think that there's a good chance they still have Big Ben. The report that just came out is that they're confident they're going to have him on Sunday, that they're just going through the protocols, that he feels fine. But we all know how COVID works, asymptomatic, all that.
No, we don't know how COVID works.
We do. Never mind. It's going to be. I'm not confident picking the Bengals, but that's the thing about an upset. No one's confident picking the team that's not favored to win the matchup. So we'll see.
Yeah, the way I feel about it, I mean, the rest of the season, there's not much hope for it, but they're always looking for that statement game, and I feel like this got it all over it.
All right. Well, AJ, good stuff, man. I appreciate the call.
Later, fellas.
Later.
My thing, I don't know, when people say trap game, what's your definition of a trap game? Because I don't think this is a definition of a trap game. It's not a definition of a trap game for the Bengals.
Right.
And as far as the Steelers are concerned, they got the Jaguars after the Bengals, so it's not like they're going to be overlooking the Bengals to get to the Jaguars. People, you throw out the term trap game too much. I don't think people realize what trap game is. You have the Jaguars this week and you have the Ravens the following week.
Right,
and you're so confident you're so focused on that matchup with the Ravens that you might be overlooking the poor Jaguars here. So I don't think it's a trap game for the Steelers. Mm-hmm. It could, who knows? I just don't think it's a trap game, but it does have the makings of what could potentially be an upset. You have a super confident Bengals team coming out of the bye, and you have a Steelers team who has their last 2 weeks played poorly. Very good opponent in the Ravens. They were their own biggest opponent against the Cowboys. What Steelers team are you going to get? It has the makings for a potential upset. I'm not calling it.
I'm with you 100%. I'm with AJ. It's all the writings on the wall for our Bengals victory. Like he said, there's no way that Pittsburgh's going to go undefeated. Now, I was thinking about this. Kansas City, they're 7-1. There's only one bye week now in the NFL playoffs. Pittsburgh's 8-0. They have to keep pace with KC in order to get that bye week.
Yep.
So they have to win this game. Like, the pressure's on Pittsburgh to continue to win because the pressure from KC and the simple fact that they can be down 17 points and then boom, they're up 24-17, just like that, because their offense is so explosive. So in my opinion, the pressure's on Pittsburgh to win this game and to quote unquote win the games that they're supposed to win and not throw out a clunker like, okay, you're allowed to lose to the Ravens in games like maybe you'll be allowed to lose to the Colts, but you're not quote unquote going to be allowed to lose to the Bengals because you have to keep pace with KC. So this is a very difficult game for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, it is. And they have the Bengals this week. They're at the Jaguars the following week. And then Thanksgiving Day weekend, they got the Ravens Sunday Night Football. And then they have the Bills and the Colts and the Browns. So the Steelers don't have an easy schedule. There's a loss, maybe two losses sitting in there somewhere. 457-9464. Let's continue this with more Bengals fans. How you feeling about this matchup with the Steelers? Is this upset week? Will the Bengals beat the Steelers? Will this be the upset of Week 10? Let's go to Charlie. Charlie, I already know what you're going to say.
Hey, what's up, Justin?
Another day in paradise, as always. Come on, give it to me. The Bengals over the Steelers, right? Like 100-0.
Calling in to pound my chest as a Bengals fan. You're saying that Pittsburgh's defense is tired of hearing about Joe Burrow. Andy Dalton was born in Texas. Carson Palmer was born in California. Joe Burrow's from Ohio. He's tired of hearing about the Steelers' defense his entire life. And now he actually has a chance to shut him up. So, we'll go ahead and go there. I don't even see it as an upset. Like, if you watch the Bengals play all season, yeah, they've won 2 games, but they've hung with everybody.
Here we go. We almost won a game championship that you're competing for.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Here, I've tried to be nice. I've been very good for a half hour. I've been very partial to the Bengals, and you're making me to where I'm going to start trying. Yes, I have. I've not taken a shot at the Bengals at all. I've pointed out facts. I've pointed out weak offensive line. I've pointed out a 2-5-1 team. I have not trolled the Bengals once. I've done what you can't do, and that's use common sense with this team. Come on now.
You said that the Steelers defense is tired of hearing about Joe Burrow.
They are. They are tired of hearing about Joe Burrow.
You go ahead and bring back Troy Polamalu, bring back James Harrison in his prime. You can bring all them guys back. It don't matter. Or who you bring back. Joe Burrow's going to slap dice all day long, baby. Because Ohio's his state, not Ben Roethlisberger's. He left. He went to Pittsburgh. He's a sellout.
What bar do you hit during the day? I'm just curious, Charlie. What's your drink of choice during the day? I would love to find out what you're drinking to have this. Huh?
I just got off work.
Does your boss know you drink at work?
I drive a semi. I can't drink.
Oh, Mike, stay off the roads, folks. This guy's drunk and driving semis around Dayton on 75. Holy smokes. You what? I can't hear you.
The only team that Pittsburgh can whip is Cleveland.
Okay.
Everybody else, they've just hung around. I've watched this year after year after year. Pittsburgh always plays up or down. They don't ever blow the games. And that's what's going to happen this Sunday. They're not ready for Joe Burrow. It's a different kind of guy. I'm telling you.
All right. If you say so. I've been on my best behavior today.
Confident win by a confident team. Who day?
What's the score going to be?
Man, lost him. On that semi, he's drinking. He must have saw a state trooper. I saw a state trooper had to put his phone down real quick. My goodness. Even Matt Sturgis says, good grief. Bengals fans, for those tuning in and are live on the Facebook feed, I've been on my best behavior.
You've been nice.
I've pointed out the flaws in a non-trolling way, and I think, let's go to Don Roberts on Facebook. He says, it is definitely a trap game. Bengals are no joke. Bengals are better than the Cowboys. It is going to go 2 ways. It will be a Browns type of beatdown, 38-7, or Steelers let them hang around and Burrow has a game-winning drive. Don, I agree with everything you say there. I don't think, I don't know if I can say I agree with everything you say, that you covered every option possible. So but Don, I know what you're saying. Can we all, as a group here, without arguing, what the hell is the definition of a trap game, folks? Like, we got to do better on using that. I've seen it on Facebook a lot too. It's a trap game. It's a trap game. What do you mean a trap game? Well, I don't think you understand what a trap game is. A trap game is you have a big opponent coming up around the corner. You may be so focused on that opponent around the corner that you're not paying enough attention to the opponents you have between that game, and you're going to let your guard down and lose. That's not this situation. The Steelers have the Jaguars next week. They're not overlooking the Bengals because they're worried about the Jaguars. So that's all. That's all. Matt Sturgeon says, I agree with your definition. Why, thank you, Mr. Matt. Hey, I tell you what, 457-9464, Bengals fans calling in. We're going to get to more of your calls on the other side. I'm seeing a lot of confidence about the Bengals beating the Steelers coming up here in Week 10. If they hadn't beat the Titans, I would be laughing hysterically, rolling on the ground. But this team has some fight in them. I'll give them that. They're feeding off the confidence of Joe Burrow, who, as we talk about how bad that offensive line is, still confident enough to step up in that pocket every time and deliver a throw on target more times than not. So I'll give them that. They're confident. The Steelers they're reeling a little bit, but I still can't pick the Bengals over the Steelers, but I am not going to laugh at the Bengals fans for at least having some confidence in their team. They deserve that, at least as of right now. But you can have confidence, but don't be like drunk Charlie over there. All right. 457-9464. More of your calls and reaction when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and windy, a high near 78. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms, a low around 55. And tomorrow for Veterans Day will be mainly cloudy with a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
For the one standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Experience the most mind-bending thriller of the year. Available at Redbox. From the producers of Get Out and Us, Rent, Antebellum. Starring Janelle Monáe. Successful author Veronica Henley finds herself trapped in a horrifying reality that forces her to confront the past, present, and future before it's too late. Don't miss Antebellum, along with other new movies, and make it a Redbox night. Head to one of the 40,000 Redbox locations, stream on your smart TV, or visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
Hello? Hi, I'm calling on behalf of the Mice Nest. Mice Nest? Yes, Mice Nest. It's a nest of mice. They finished chewing through your RV wiring, so the fire should start soon.
Can we cancel that?
Oh, sorry. Once scheduled, they can't really stop because they're mice. A nest of them.
RV owners can't schedule when things go wrong on the road. That's why there's Progressive, a leader in RV insurance.
Oh, and if you could stay on the line for a quick survey.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Here's Howie Long for Skechers Arch Fit Shoes.
If you've never tried Arch Fit shoes from Skechers, you're missing out on next level comfort. Saying you like comfort but not trying Arch Fit is like saying you like Italian food but you've never tried pasta. Skechers teamed up with podiatrists who used over 20 years of data to create a shoe that provides total foot and arch support for all-day comfort. Arch Fit distributes support across the arch no matter what foot type you have. You don't need an arch problem to love how they feel.
See all the styles of machine washable Arch Fit shoes now at Skechers.com.
eBay has gifts that say a lot, but don't cost a lot. So save big on a DeWalt drill set for dad that says, let's get to work. Tell your all-star niece it's time for takeoff with Air Jordans at not-so-sky-high prices. And get a certified refurbished Bose soundbar for your husband that says, we're going to need a bigger home theater.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
All those mouths to feed. So many different cravings. In a world filled with endless dinner options, lives a family ravaged by hunger. The answer lies with one man. No, not just a man, a king, a pizza king. Get a large Casano's Deluxe Pizza for $15.99 or a large pepperoni for just $12.99. Call 294-KING and see for yourself why the proof is in the taste. Pizza King.
Allstate now has deeper savings, and deeper savings require deep thoughts and a deep voice, like mine. Save for being a new customer. Save more for adding DriveWise, and save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. As someone once said, saving today is money tomorrow. That's deep.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What are real people saying about Skechers Arch Fit footwear? Joe from Hilton Head says, I need arch support, and these shoes have it. Joe, Skechers Arch Fit don't just have arch support, they have podiatrist-certified arch support that was developed with over 20 years of data. Next, Pete from New York writes, great for walking. I stand a lot of work, and the Arch Fit keeps me comfortable. My feet don't feel tired at the end of the day. Okay, Pete gets it. He's walking, working, just living in Skechers Arch Fit. These shoes are great for virtually everybody. Find podiatrist-certified Skechers Arch Fit at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Lowe's has everything you need to celebrate home and go all out on decorating this year, like GE pre-lit artificial trees, now just $169. Lowe's, home for the holidays.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Good luck. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Coming up around the corner, we're going to dive into a little college basketball talk. The Dayton Flyers, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Wright State Raiders. Which matchup is more likely to happen? If you had to put money on one of these matchups happening in this crazy COVID basketball season, all right, for one, every one of these matchups should happen, but it's just a matter of whether or not they will. But which of these matchups is more likely to happen? We're going to get into this coming up around the corner. OSU versus Wright State, OSU versus UD, or Wright State versus UD. All of those matchups should technically happen. It's just a matter of which one is most likely to happen. We're going to get into that coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 2, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz will also join us. We'll recap what was an exciting Week 9, even though our Browns and Bengals were both off, on their bye week, but still a lot happened over the weekend that impacts the final 8 games of the season for both your Browns and Bengals, so we'll get back into that. But a big one coming up for the Bengals out of the bye week. I didn't think there was a chance in hell that they were going to beat the Titans. In fact, I lost a bet, and I ended up having to wear this Bengals jersey behind me. Where did he go in the comment section, by the way? I got to go back and find him real quick. Doug Toby made a bet, said if the Titans beat the Bengals, or if the Bengals beat the Titans, I would have to wear this Bengals jersey. I was so confident that there was no chance in hell they were going to win, that I took him up on the bet. I had to wear the Bengals jersey, this last Monday or whatever it was. But he says, Kev, I'll just leave my Bengals jersey there another week so you can wear it next week. Now, I did it. So will you wear the Bengals jersey next week if if the Bengals beat the Steelers.
So that's the bet. If the Bengals win, I have to wear the jersey. So
it's an easy bet. It's just wearing a jersey for a little bit.
Of course, yeah. It's an easy bet. That's not a problem. But what do I get if the Pittsburgh Steelers win this match?
See, I had nothing on the table either. I was just so confident. I'm like, I don't even need any.
Well, I'm not a goofball like you.
No, I'm not a goofball. I knew that I was going to have the pure satisfaction of another Bengals loss, and I would get to rub it in. That's how I viewed that.
Well, I need some skin in the game as well, sir.
Well, there you go. Keep that in mind. I'll let you and Doug figure that out. All right, so a big one coming up here, week 10, coming out of the bye week. And I'm curious, when you look at some of the matchups around the NFL, there's not a lot of big upset. There's not a lot of matchups that I'm confident picking the upset in. Every week we pick our upsets, and I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued by this Bengals-Steelers matchup. I don't think that the Bengals are going to win. I'm not willing to go there, but I've at least been pretty cordial today and entertaining the Bengals fans and their thoughts for why it could happen. And I actually agree with a lot of the reasonings for why Bengals fans believe it could potentially happen. And I don't believe that Bengals fans think that their team is better than the Steelers. It's just a simple one-off matchup coming up this weekend that they feel that the Steelers are vulnerable enough for their team, who has a lot of confidence, especially after a whole extra week to prepare for the Steelers, and writing off that confidence of beating a good team in the Titans, a division leader there. Man, I tell you, I could see why Bengals fans are feeling pretty good about this matchup. But we're taking your calls at 457-9464. Also, your reaction for those watching on Twitter and on Facebook and on YouTube. Bengals fans, do you believe that your Bengals will pull off the upset coming up this weekend? 457-9464. No, I'm just pointing out the other one. That's all. Let's go to the Facebook feed and reaction real quick while your calls are coming in. Let's go to Ann. Shout out to Ann. Yeah. She says that she's picking the Bengals over the Steelers. Oh, no, she says Bengals over Steelers, no way, in all capital letters. She said anyone could play quarterback for the Steelers and win. Joe has nothing around him, unfortunately. Not a Bengal fan, but I so wish that I was wrong. That comes from Ann. Now, she's not wrong. I mean, anyone could technically play for the Steelers, and they play 500 football. They were 8-8 last year with the platoon of Duck Hodges and, of course, Mason Rudolph. So I'm just saying, like, yes, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. No, you could. They're a playoff team. Wrong. If that same scenario presented itself this year, the Steelers are in the playoffs. The problem is Big Ben comes back and they win 8 games in the first half of the season, which was the total amount of wins in 16 games last year.
Competent quarterback, man. Competent quarterback playing complimentary football. Ben obviously isn't the Ben of old where he's throwing for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns and everything like that. He is part of the sum of the parts. He's not the guy that's leading in the victory anymore. He's making sure they don't blow games and mess things up and throw interceptions and fumble the ball left and right, checking them in and out of the right plays. You know, Ben is gradually turning into a game manager, and every so often, like we saw last week, he can turn back the hands of time and lead you to a victory in the fourth quarter where he goes no huddle, 5 wide, and starts slinging the ball all over the place. I don't think he can do that consistently throughout a whole regular season, but I'll take any win I can get right about now.
All right, 8-0 Steelers welcome in the 2-5-1 Cincinnati Bengals coming up this weekend. Big matchup again, and the Bengals fans, they feel confident. They feel pretty confident. You Bengals fans feel pretty confident that it can get done. Not all of you. Some Bengals fans have said, no, don't lump me into that. But I have been impressed with how confident these Bengals fans are. Who we got on hold, Kev?
We got
your mic's up.
Scott.
Scott, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. What you have for us today?
Well, I'm going to chime in about the Bengals. I'm cautiously optimistic. It's Steelers. Come on. I watched them last year, and I thought everything was lined up. The stars were aligned. And then Mason Rudolph went out there and ran basically Trotwood Madison's offense against them, and they still beat the Bengals.
What's wrong with Trotwood Madison's offense, by the way?
That's great for high school players in the NFL. I mean, in the NFL, you shouldn't be able to play that kind of offense, and NFL football players be able to not be able to stop it. So I was very embarrassed by that loss. And it wasn't like, it wasn't the Bengals were lined up and everything was great. We have a puncher's chance. I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. We have a little bit of a puncher's chance because Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. He's out there and he stands strong and he's like a Timex, and I like him.
No, I mean, Joe Burrow, the effect that he has had on this team and this fan base, he's doing for the Bengals this year what Baker did for the Browns his rookie year. And I don't even care about the wins and losses. It's just about getting the fan base to believe again. Bengals fans don't like Baker, that's fine, but you have to admit that is one of the biggest comparisons between the two is that both quarterbacks have gotten both losing fan bases to buy in again and to feel confident about the direction of the franchise. So that's what Joe Burrow has accomplished already. You get a big win over the Titans. But as one of our callers said earlier on Facebook about the Steelers being that gold standard, that's how you kind of rate your team. How do you perform against the top of your division? And that's really what it's going to come down to. So if they get blown out, it's really going to feel like the Bengals took a step back after what they accomplished against the Titans last week.
Yeah, that was the feeling we had after the Ravens game.
Mm-hmm.
They just humbled the Bengals.
Well, it's like that with the Browns too, and the Browns are winning games and they're in the playoff conversation. And when you have fans like me who start getting cocky and excited, and then you see them go up against the top of the division, and you're like, "Holy crap!" Even at 5 wins, we still are miles behind where we want to be, and so it's depressing sometimes. But that's why these matchups are fun leading into them, but they're not so fun by halftime half the time.
Right. Absolutely. So that's just how I feel. I mean, I'm going to support my Bengals. I'm going to watch that game. I'm going to have a few adult beverages and I may yell at the TV a little bit, but I already knew this was at the best 5 or 6 win season, and we're building. And I'm just scared to death. I hate to use the word building when we're talking about a Mike Brown team, but I'm thinking that as every year goes by, it seems like he steps back a little bit more, and he's letting the coaches make more personnel decisions. He's letting people that understand it make a little bit more personnel decisions, and maybe one day they'll overcome him.
No kidding. And they have the quarterback. That's the most important piece. When you get the quarterback, that's the biggest piece to the puzzle that you need. And it should make things easier, but who knows how that's going to look moving forward.
Especially in those first 5 years when you've got him on that rookie contract.
Oh, yeah. From the financial flexibility you're going to have, because not all your money, the biggest chunk of your money is not invested into one position being your quarterback. You can go out and provide them weapons. Say what you want about the Browns. It may not always lead to, the playoffs, and it may not lead to a lot of winning football, but hell, you can't say they haven't tried. You can't say the Browns didn't look at their investment and say, man, we need to provide him with everything he needs to be successful. The Browns have done it. The Bengals need to get on board with that too.
Absolutely. You have to tip your cap to the Browns, and I hate to say that. The best part about the Browns is they found a way to fire 2 of the greatest coaches of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, except now Bill Belichick, he's doing his best Browns coaching job this year with the Patriots. So there you go.
There it is. Well, you do what you do with what you got.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, great hearing from you, Scott. Take care.
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right, back to the Facebook reaction. Steve Stetler on Facebook says, "Come on, man, it's the Bengals. Kev, man up, take the bet."
I need to see what he's putting on the table as well. He's got to, if I'm going to be taking a risk, he got to take a risk as well, right?
I guess. I mean, don't ask me. I just went in on the bet and said, fine, I'll wear the damn jersey. If they, on Twitter, Periscope, whatever, their handle is Here for Beer.
Cheers.
Is this Charlie? Charlie, is that you?
It's Hooper.
He says, big upset coming. So there you go. It sounds like a Bengals vote for the Bengals right there. Laura Dell on Facebook. Laura says, Bengals fan here. I'm confident that the Bengals will play a good game, but I don't think we're going to see a win here. We found too many creative ways to lose for me to be confident in a win with an upset. So, I mean, it's not as if, the Bengals are getting blown out every single week. They've been in a lot of games. I mean, that's what was the biggest, complaint they had was how many one possession losses they've had. We can't call this team a rebuilding team and say, oh man, they have too many holes, but yet they're in every game. And it's one coaching decision. It's one play that you can go back and change in each of those games. And the Bengals have a winning record and could potentially be fighting for a final playoff spot. But that's why I don't like to use the rebuilding excuse for this Bengals team, because if rebuilding teams aren't 1 or 2 plays every single week away from winning and being in the playoff conversation, that's where my biggest complaints always come into play. We have time for another one before we take the rest of your calls on the other side. Who we have, Kev?
We got Charlie, a different Charlie.
A different Charlie. All right, Charlie, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. You guys got to stop. Stop giving that worthless fan base. If they're not going to win, they don't have a chance.
So this is Browns fan Charlie, right?
No, this is Pittsburgh fan.
Pittsburgh Charlie.
What
okay.
up, family?
We need a Charlie for the Browns, and then we'll have like a Charlie for every fan base in the division. How about that? All right, Charlie, I'll let you finish your thought.
Listen, you seen what happened when they played Baltimore's defense.
I saw what happened when the Browns played that too, so I got to be careful how I word that.
The Titans can't get after the quarterback. The Jaguars can't get after the quarterback. Now, I'll admit, the Bengals defense played good against the Titans. They played great against the Titans. But come on. It doesn't matter if it's Duck. It don't matter if it's Mason. It don't matter if it's Ben. They're not going to beat the defense. I'll be surprised if they score.
You'll be surprised if they score.
We blitz over 50%, and we get to the quarterback every time we blitz. Joe Burrow is going to be in a body bag by the time the game's over.
Look, that's the thing that I was pointing out for the majority of the first half of the season was the fact that, hey, they were in a lot of games, that the offensive lineman keeps saying how bad they are, but he's throwing for all these yards. But that offensive line has been bad. They feel confident because they were able to block for him against the Titans. Again, you talked about how they have no pass rush. I've been concerned about what this game is going to look like for the Bengals because of that offensive line for them and because of that damn pass rush for you guys and the Steelers. So I'm with you. That's where this game can get real ugly, and I don't just mean the score. It could be the physicality of it for their investment, Joe Burrow, who they didn't invest in offensive line-wise in the offseason.
Are we going to act like their offensive line is all of a sudden good now? I mean, because they got a backed-up guard from Seattle. I mean, are we going to act like they're good because they can block the Titans? Jadeveon Clowney doesn't even have a sack this year. The offensive line is still terrible. I mean, kudos. You can block a terrible defensive line, terrible offensive line. I mean, this is crazy. They have no chance. Kevin, take that bet because you ain't going to have to wear it.
You're getting ripped on Facebook too, Kev. A lot of people calling you out. Hold up. We'll stay on the line here with this, Charlie. I'm trying to find this. Where to go? Oh, Dean McDonald on Facebook says, Kev is not confident in the Steelers win at all. At least Kenner had some confidence. Weak. You hear that, Kev? You're being weak. Okay.
If the Steelers lose, I will come in here on Monday and give you guys a who day. That's how confident I am. They're terrible. They're terrible.
Yeah. I'm with you. I was trying to take it back.
Rudolph play so we can embarrass him.
Well, Mason Rudolph, there was a play against the Cowboys over the weekend. I mean, he dropped back. He had time to throw. He had Claypool open up on the sideline, and he just threw that thing aired it out of bounds. And the wide receiver even stopped and looked at him like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I was wide open, and you aired it, man. Like, it's just unbelievable. So I'm with you on that. But it's good to – I want Big Ben to play. I want the full Steelers experience for the Bengals.
The worst thing that's happened is these guys went to a bye off of a win. The worst thing that's happened. Now they think they're going to run the table and make the playoffs or something. They're pitiful.
Did you see that Sports Illustrated put out an article talking about how Joe Burrow has entered the MVP conversation? Are you serious?
If that's the case, then Justin Herbert's going to win it.
Thank you. See, we're on the same. I like this Charlie. See, I like the other Charlie too. He seems like a nice guy, but this Charlie guy, he gets it. Until Browns week, probably, and then we probably will butt heads. But until then, so Charlie, good stuff, man.
At least you guys got Myles Garrett swinging helmets. These guys ain't going to even have that to stand a chance.
All right, man. Great hearing from you, Charlie. Take care.
See you guys
later.
All right, so we don't hear from Steelers fans often, but this is what I'm saying. Like, Steelers fans and the Steelers, they just sit back and they laugh at the Browns fans. They laugh at the Bengals fans. We are an embarrassing bunch. Okay, we literally argue over, no, we're going to be the third-place team this year. No, we're going to be the third-place team this year. We are an embarrassing bunch. Bengals fans, us Browns fans, we're the biggest losers out there. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, we really do. And then you get this Charlie guy who seems like a nice guy, but you could tell he just finally had enough. Yeah. He had heard enough of the goofy Browns fans, including me. He had heard enough of you goofy Bengals fans. He had enough. Like, sometimes it takes a guy like Charlie to point out that, man, we are an embarrassing bunch. Browns fans, Bengals fans. But, hey, at the end of the day, we all got each other. That's all that matters. We'll see. All right, more of your calls, more of your reaction next. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You decided to upgrade your outdoor deck. So you ordered the essentials: a power washer, a set of patio chairs, and a shiny new grill. And you use your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a Preferred Rewards member, which you put towards your most essential deck addition, a bird feeder. Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
And now a game of commercial chicken brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
Oh, hi. Okay, guess we should talk about something. Kind of tough to be put on the spot. Not sure what to say. But I know what I'm definitely not talking about. Drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I'm not going very far.
It's too uncomfortable.
I'm in a hurry. Sometimes I just forget.
There's no such thing as a good excuse for not buckling up. You're not only putting yourself at risk of injury or death, it could also cost you lots of money. Cops are writing tickets, so why take the risk? Do the smart thing and start buckling up every trip, day or night. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
With United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans, there's so much to take advantage of, like $0 copays on hundreds of prescription drugs.
Wow.
Pick up at your local pharmacy or take advantage of free delivery. To learn more, visit AdvantageWow.com.
Wow.
That's AdvantageWow.com.
$0 copay may be restricted to particular tiers, preferred medications, or mail order prescriptions during the initial coverage phase and may not apply during the coverage gap or catastrophic stage. Free delivery with preferred mail order pharmacies.
Wow.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
Good night.
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Experience the most mind-bending thriller of the year. Available at Redbox. From the producers of Get Out and Us, Rent, Antebellum. Starring Janelle Monáe. Successful author Veronica Henley finds herself trapped in a horrifying reality that forces her to confront the past, present, and future before it's too late. Don't miss Antebellum, along with other new movies, and make it a Redbox night. Head to one of the 40,000 Redbox locations. Stream on your smart TV or visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for the previews to start in a movie theater.
Hey, you want anything? Popcorn? Soda? No, nothing.
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After falling to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1982 NBA Finals, the 76ers needed to find the right player to build the ultimate winning team. In September of '82, they acquired restricted free agent Moses Malone. They went on to rack up a 65-17 regular season record and followed that up with a 12-1 postseason record. Malone won the regular season and NBA Finals MVP award.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Susie, I love you. Your skin is soft, like a fresh leather interior.
Oh, Joe.
Your smell is intoxicating, like that of a new tire.
You always know how to make me blush.
So this year I got you something special.
Tires! Touring tires with an asymmetrical tread design.
Yeah, and a free alignment with standard installation.
It's just what I've always wanted.
Susie doesn't know that Joe saved $150 at tire discounters. This holiday, say it with tires.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works Package and the Double Take Tire Specials. Call today for your appointment, 937-419-8473 or 1-800-700-0050. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
If you're driving less, you could be saving more on car insurance. Save money with pay-per-mile insurance from Allstate. Call a local Allstate agent and get a quote.
Some gifts don't come wrapped in packages with bows and ribbons. They aren't hidden away, then torn into with reckless abandon. Some gifts are needs, like food or shelter, and those can be the most precious of all. In a year with fewer red kettles, help rescue Christmas for those facing poverty with a $25 monthly donation. Enlist in Love's Army at givewestwood.org.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2020 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Ever wonder just how far an extra mile really goes? Drive a Mercedes-Benz van and find out. Start with a network of over 250 authorized dealerships, backed by a sales force ready to help you with everything from customization to service on vans like the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter that's tailored to your lifestyle, with options like Blind Spot Assist and MBUX voice command for spoken directions, weather, and more.
The route is being calculated.
So whether you're enjoying life on the trail or working hard on the job, see how far an extra mile can really go by taking the first step into an authorized Mercedes-Benz van dealership today. Now with IRS Section 179, businesses can be eligible for up to a $25,900 tax deduction. That's up to $5,439 in tax savings.
Options and model availability may vary. See dealer for details about costs and terms. Some equipment described is optional. $5,439 tax savings based on 21% federal tax rate and eligibility to claim full $25,900 Section 179 vehicle deduction. Your tax rate and eligibility may vary. Consult your tax advisor for more information. Limits may apply. Visit nbvans.com. Offer valid through December 31st, 2020.
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for a table at a restaurant.
Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party of 4. Thompson, party...
Oh, there you are.
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Experience the most mind-bending thriller of the year. Available at Redbox. From the producers of Get Out and Us, Rent, Antebellum. Starring Janelle Monáe. Successful author Veronica Henley finds herself trapped in a horrifying reality that forces her to confront the past, present, and future before it's too late. Don't miss Antebellum, along with other new movies, and make it a Redbox night. Head to one of the 40,000 Redbox locations. Stream on your smart TV or visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, we are in hour number 2. Coming up here about 20 minutes from now, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz will, of course, recap the big weekend in college football this past Saturday. I tell you what, for a weekend that included Ohio State Rutgers, I was thinking that would be a down weekend, but Indiana's making things interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually really looking forward to this coming up weekend. Something we're going to get into coming up around the corner. Indiana, Maryland. Which team, Buckeye fans, are you more concerned about? Which program, which game, matchup has you more uneasy? And don't do the whole none of them. I'm not worried about any of them. I know Ohio State's significantly better than both of those teams, talent-wise, skill-wise, coach-wise. But both of those teams have some, they have some zip to them.
Yeah.
And we've seen Ohio State's weaknesses to know that one of these teams could potentially expose that. We never would have guessed a few years ago that Maryland would take it to Ohio State the way that they did, and Ohio State was able to come away with it. So we'll talk about that coming up. Plus, they have an explosive quarterback, obviously. Tua. Well, not Tua, but Tua, his brother. So there's that. But we'll get into some college football coming up around the corner. But I wanted to make sure we close the Bengals conversation out by getting to all your calls, as many of them as we can. Doug Toby says, it's a 6-point spread. If Pittsburgh covers, I'll buy you famous recipe, 3-piece chicken strips, mashed potatoes, coleslaw, but you got to eat it in front of Kinner. Listen. Chicken Chuck has our back, man. No offense, Doug. You're going to have to pick a different food place to kind of entice us. Like Chicken Chuck has our back. If we want from Famous Recipe Chicken, if we want a 3-piece chicken strip meal, all I got to do is just text my guy, Chicken Chuck, and tell him I'm having a bad day. And I probably have to give him a who day. I have to tell him, hey, the Bengals are there, and then say who day. I might be able to get that. So you need to bring us something that's difficult. Maybe.
Let me think about it. Let me think about a restaurant he could provide.
Actually, no.
For us.
Forget me. This is your bad.
Yeah.
This is you. This is between you two. Yeah, my bad. This is between you two.
Let me think of a restaurant, and we still got 2 hours to go. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. So, Don Roberts has a question for you, Kev. He says, Kev, what is update? What is up? Update on all the COVID issues with the Steelers this week. I think they have to test every day. You
got to test every day, especially after you have the symptoms and everything like that. From the Mike Tomlin interview I just saw from his presser, they're expecting, not only Ben but Vince Williams to play on Sunday. But you can say that all you want, Coach. If he's got the Rona, he's not playing. So I don't know what he's talking about, to be perfectly honest. So I guess I think this is going to be, I guess today, right? He has to test negative 3 times, right?
3 times. Yep. So that's the same with Baker. So Baker, when the news came out over the weekend, I think it was Sunday morning that Baker was put into their COVID protocol. He has to test negative 3 times this week to be able to, I think he could be back in practice as early as tomorrow. I haven't heard the update. Right. I haven't found out whether or not he tested negative today or not. But they're saying that, it was just through contact tracing. They were able to go back, and he had been in contact with the individual who tested positive, so that he just has to test negative 3 times and he can be back out on the field. But COVID's running, just through college football like you wouldn't believe. Shaw, thank you for sending this in. Bama versus LSU and A&M versus Tennessee both postponed due to Rona, according to ESPN. The other one too is Auburn, Mississippi State, also postponed. But hey, at least you were first to start the season, right? SEC. Yeah.
I just saw it on Twitter now. I just pulled it up. Yep.
Charles Mitchell, we had real quick. Ron Howard says 9-0 is hard to do. That last caller is ludicrous. Big Ben is hurt. Left game Sunday. That guy on some good weed. Ron, you're just upset. First of all, the Steelers can go 9-0. They have a winnable Week 10 game. They have a winnable Week 11 game. They could be 12-0 heading into that matchup with the Ravens here on Sunday Night Football on November 26th. Mm-hmm. That would be interesting. That could be their first loss of the season. But again, they made Lamar look like they made him look chaotic as could be in their last matchup. And look, if this was a team that was relying on Big Ben, they are to an extent. They need, but if they were if they were only dependent on that offense, they'd be in trouble.
Yes.
That defense to be fair, that defense took care of business against the Cowboys late in that second half. They finally flipped that switch, and Cowboys look like they normally do. So that defense, that's why they could potentially go 9, 10-0, maybe even 11-0 when it's all said and done, depending on what happens with the Ravens coming up here in a few weeks. But let's go back to the phones. 457-9464. Bengals fans, how confident are you? Is the Bengals-Steelers matchup this Sunday? Is that the upset game of the week, Week 10? Are you confident in your Bengals? Could they pull off the upset? Let's close it out. Let's go to the phones. Kev, who we have?
We got Rick.
Rick, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Justin, Kev?
Hey.
Good.
Yeah, I think this is a huge opportunity for the Bengals this weekend. If they can pull out a win, and that's a big if, hopefully Ben won't play, which will drastically improve the odds, but they can win this weekend. The next 4 games are against Washington, the Giants, Miami, and Dallas. And all 4 of those are winnable games. That would put the record at 7-5-1 with 3 games left to go. Like I said, so this is a huge opportunity this weekend for the Bengals.
Yeah, and the thing is, they don't even have to win to still feel like they got to win. I know that sounds funny, but what I mean is, like, if they could just go out there and look like, if Joe Burrow could just go out there and move the ball and look like he can go punch for punch with Big Ben for even if the majority of the game, that's a win for Bengals fans. That, again, as we talked about earlier, the Steelers are the gold standard in the AFC North. Everything is compared to them. And if you can compete with them, not even just beat them, but compete with them, that Bengals fans should still feel pretty good about that, all things considered, with how many holes this team has on their offense and defense. But Bengals fans, if you're going to get that close, I think Bengals fans, here's the other question. Would you rather get blown out or lose by 1 possession? I think you're tired of losing by 1 possession by now.
I would feel better if we still just lost by 1 possession, because I know we're still in the game all the time. And it's just so close to turning it around. And one thing, if you look at I think the stats, I think the Bengals, out of all the division teams, have won more road games in Pittsburgh than either Cleveland or Baltimore, especially in the last 20 years. So they can win in Pittsburgh, unlike Cleveland.
Oh, definitely. I mean, thanks for that. I have nothing. I have no defense for Cleveland at all. So. No, I'll give you this. I'm usually the biggest Bengals hater in the world. I get that. I wear that crown proudly. But I don't think they're going to win, but I'm not willing to say they're going to get blown out either. I think that the Bengals are riding high off that confidence from the Titans game, having the bye week, extra week to prepare. Steelers reeling a little bit after that Cowboys game. We'll see. It'll be fun.
Well, I think they can win, but my confidence level, I put them at about 33%.
33%. All right.
But like I said, it goes up to 50-50 if Ben doesn't play.
Okay, so it's dependent on if Big Ben plays or not. As of right now, it's up in the air, but we should know in the coming days, obviously, what his status is heading into that game. So a lot of time left between now and Sunday, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Rick, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for talking to me.
Anytime. I appreciate it. Who we got next?
We got Reggie.
Reggie, how are you? Is this Go Browns, Reggie? This isn't anybody, Reggie. Reggie said, yeah, I'll talk to you later. And who next up?
We got Steve.
Steve, how are you, sir? Welcome in.
I am good. Kev Nash.
What's up, man?
I cannot believe that you are not going to take that simple bet. I mean, there's no...
He's soft.
First off, over under 5 sacks.
Over.
I agree. I think it's going to be 6. Second thing, over under 2 interceptions.
Under.
I say it's 2.
I'll say 2. I was going to go 2, and I'm going to go over on the sacks as well. I'm going 7 on the sacks and 2 on the interceptions.
Minka get his customary interception in the end zone.
So how in the world do you think the Bengals are going to win that game? I mean, you got to take the bet all day long. And I'm not a Bengals fan. I am a Dolphins fan. You guys know that. I am more worried about the Dolphins getting beat this weekend than the Steelers getting beat.
Who you guys got?
Chargers.
Okay.
The battle of the 2 best rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. I like it.
I think that's going to be a good game, I think. But, I mean, there's a couple reasons just to take the bet, Kev. Number one, you look a lot better in the jersey than Kenner. You got to go all day long on that. Number 2, this point spread is actually 7.5, not 6.
I was going to say, I saw 7.5 last time, but they took the line down since the news of Big Ben going to the COVID list has come out. So, yeah.
And the third thing, like I said, I don't have any skin in the game. If they lose, if the Bengals win, I will bring you guys a 12-pack of beverage of your choice on ice down to the station if you take the bet.
You hear that? See, this caller's smart because now he's bringing in the team aspect. Like you'd be letting me down if you didn't follow through on this.
Well, I'm just trying to, what I'm saying, grease the wheels, try to get something out of it, because when the bet was initially placed to me, it was saying, hey, you wear this if the Bengals win, and he wasn't trying to give up anything. But now he's offered food. You're offering adult beverages, so we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, you make me sick. I can't stand that you're one of the Steelers fans that doesn't talk smack. It drives me nuts. I can't associate with people who aren't like me. Like it drives me nuts. Like, come on, you can't talk a little. I mean, it's the Steelers. If there's anyone in this room that has the right to talk as much smack as I do, it's you.
You got to show and prove, man.
Here we go.
We can talk
one day at a time.
We can talk our heads off about how great Ben Roethlisberger is and everything like that, or somebody could blindside hit him and snap his neck and leg in two pieces.
Well, as I've said, an asteroid could hit Earth, and then we just all won't be here.
And then we'll be back out there with Mason Rudolph, and then what?
And he would survive that.
It's like that last caller. He said he was 33% confident. That's not real confident. He's a Bengals fan. 33%? Are you kidding me?
He said that's with Big Ben playing. Without Big Ben, it goes up to 50. But let's be clear. If we really simplify it down, every game is 50-50. Unless you're the Bengals and tie, of course. But, 50, you either win or you lose, right? Like either win or you lose. There you go.
Well, you got my offer on the table.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
All right, you guys take it easy.
Have a
You
good
too.
one.
Adios, man. Man, see, you've riled some people up because you won't come through on the bet. And they're right. I didn't even ask for anything in return on mine. I just wanted the pure satisfaction of a Bengals loss.
Compensation.
And the compensation for you is the pure satisfaction of, my team's 9-0.
No, I need something tangible.
You're the worst kind of Steelers fan. You're the kind of Steelers fan that doesn't talk smack. I don't respect that. I don't.
What?
I don't.
I don't talk trash, man.
No, I mean,
there's no need for me to talk trash.
You're not a real fan, dude.
Speaking of that,
you don't know that. Is that who it is? The True American. Welcome in.
Intro music.
I'll get that intro music. Since you've been calling, you disappeared for a while, but now that you're a regular, I'll get your music back.
Disappeared for a while. Everybody listens, and Slim knows, everybody knows, the True American doesn't work a 9-to-5 white-collar job. I'm a True American.
Well, what do you work? What are your hours?
This week I'm on days, and I go in at 5 o'clock, and I work till 3, or sometimes I got to get up at 2 to go in at 3. Then on second shift, I work at 3 till 3, and then midnight, it's 11 to 7 or 11 to 11.
Now, Charles Mitchell.
Those are true American working hours.
Charles Mitchell on Facebook, he's a Bengals fan. He said that your hours depend on the result of Browns games. So when the Browns win.
Well, whoever this punk ass is, Mitchell, I want to list him. I'll give you the results for Sunday's game. Here's what I want to happen. I want it to wind up in a tie. Hopefully Burrow will get hit and he'll get his knee dislocated. Big Ben might re-injure the arm, and that'll, he's on the COVID list now, right?
Yes.
Where's Baker at? Is he going to be able to play this week or not?
If he tests negative today, he should be able to return to practice tomorrow.
Okay, well, not so much him. We're winning in spite of him, and I'm not a Baker hater. I still believe there could be something there. The guy has been at a disadvantage because let's be honest, guys. Yeah, we know what he did his rookie year. He broke Peyton Manning's rookie record, 27 touchdowns, 10 picks. The guy. You've had 2 or 3 different coaches. That's not good for any quarterback or, in the league. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Peyton Manning, Baker Mayfield, Drew Brees, whatever. And the organization has been in dysfunction. We all know this. I still think the guy can get it done. Now, can he get us to the Super Bowl? That right there, I'm waiting to see. But I want to see some consistency. I told you a couple weeks ago when I was on days, I want to see a couple games where he personally, not the defense, not the offense, not the running game, I want to see where he personally can take it on his shoulders. And he did it at Cincinnati, but we all know the Pop Warner team down there, they're squat. And what's up with these Bengal fans all of a sudden? Man, are they on LSD from back in the day or whatever? They're talking about going 10-5-1 and making really? Are you serious? I mean, come on, people. All their winnable games they got,
You got to line them up and play them, Bengals fans, for the 16 weeks, 4 quarters at a time. It's amazing how they hide away and you don't hear nothing. Then they start hooting out there. You know what I'm saying? It drives. It's not so much that I hate the Bengals as I hate their fans. Fans suck.
By the way, Charles Mitchell, again, the Bengals fan, he comes back and says if he had to guess, he said you're working second shift next week because he's predicting the Browns' loss.
Oh, well, good for him. Well, hopefully his Bengals won't even score, and like I said, it'll wind up in a 0. They'll get him another tie. You can send that back to him since he has a texting device and I don't.
I'll pass the message on to him.
We'll take care of Houston Sunday. We'll get us on a little 3-game run here. We'll be fine, and we'll be in the playoffs, and Cincinnati can be watching us.
There he is, the ultimate Browns fan, the true American. And come on, Charles. Stop stirring the pot. If there's one thing I can't stand for is that. Charles, you know better.
Takes one to know.
You know better, Charles. All right, let's talk with ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz on the other side. We'll talk about, of course, the slate of Week 10 NFL games coming up, and as well as the big news out of the college football world. Will we even have college football games this Saturday? I mean, everyone's just postponing. No, we'll talk about that with Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio, Spain and Fitz, one half of that show from 7 to 9 weeknights, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. He joins us next. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and windy, a high near 78. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms, a low around 55. And tomorrow for Veterans Day will be mainly cloudy with a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
Fever is a leading symptom of the coronavirus, so take your temperature twice a day with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It's quick and easy to use, and its accuracy is backed by more than 80 clinical studies. Have your family start and end their day with the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses. Your family can take their temperatures in seconds to know where they stand in the fight against COVID-19. Protect your family from the spread of this deadly disease and stay safe with Exergen.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Cleveland State women's basketball coach Chris Kilsmeyer, COVID survivor.
I was fatigued, just like every other basketball coach in March, but didn't think about getting sick. I woke up one night with the worst pains and chills I'd ever experienced. I tested positive for coronavirus and immediately self-quarantined. I got worse and worse and checked into the hospital. Multiple times I said, I don't want to die. We know what works. We know how to fight this, but it's going to take all of us doing the right thing every single day.
Sponsored by the Ohio Hospital Association.
Starting route. Your destination is 0.1 miles away.
If you drive less than
500 feet, turn left. You have arrived at your destination.
If you drive less than 25 miles a day, you could be paying less every day with pay-per-mile car insurance from Allstate. You get the same reliable coverage and hands-on expertise you'd expect from Allstate, but now at a price that's tailored to the miles you drive.
Call your local Allstate agent and start paying what's right for you. Includes a daily rate. Prices vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Not applicable in California. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and its affiliates.
No way. Taco Bell's Toasted Cheddar Chalupa is back.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? They toasted 6-month-old aged cheddar right onto the shell of a chalupa. That's genius, no delicious, no both, and now comes in a box with a crunchy taco, cinnamon twist, and a medium drink?
Whoa.
Oh, sorry, this is my stuff.
Oh, cool. We're all thinking it. The $5 Toasted Cheddar Chalupa box is back. Only at Taco Bell. At limited participating U.S. locations for a limited time only. Contact local store for prices, hours, and participation, which vary. Tax extra. This excludes freezes.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
What's in store this holiday at your local Staples?
Great deals on the hottest brands.
Staples has this year's must-have gifts for working or learning from home.
Like Apple AirPods, great for video conferences or online classes.
And now at Staples, Apple AirPods Pro are just $194. You save $55.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside.
Get the most wonderful deals on gifts this holiday at Staples.
Ends 11/14. In-store only. Limit 2 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
With the $10 Tastemaker from Pizza Hut, I can get a large with up to 3 toppings, so I don't have to pick between them. Nope, don't need that stress in my life. Order yours online at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut. Prices and participation may vary. Extra charge for pan, stuffed crust, extra cheese, and more toppings.
Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green, the concentrated cleaner that's perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new again. Visit us at simplegreen.com.
Lowe's has everything you need to celebrate home and go all out on decorating this year, like GE pre-lit artificial trees, now just $169. Lowe's, home for the holidays.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. I love the confidence of the Bengals fans this week. I love that, and we've got some Steelers fans to call in and talk some smack. I mean, it takes a lot to get you Steelers fans to react to anything because you sit up there on your high horse and you judge us Browns and Bengals fans like we aren't worthy. And I've told you before, we embarrass ourselves. I mean, we literally argue every year between Browns and Bengals. No, we're going to be third place. No, we're going to be third place. But now the Browns get to argue that we're going to be third place, but we're going to make the playoffs. The NFL just announced that they've expanded the playoffs to 16 teams. Yikes. That's huge. Well, it's huge anyways. It was expanded before technically coming in, but to be honest with you, that's why that loss against the Raiders is really starting to piss me off a little bit because it's a jumbled mess right there for those final couple spots as we head into the second half, and that loss could come back to haunt the Browns later, and it could really help the Raiders, and I think it's a heck of a transition to bring on our next guest. We have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, the ultimate Raiders fan, joining us now. Jason, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm good, and look, you're spitting truth right there. That's why I said last week, I circled before the season started. To me, Raiders-Browns is the most important game the Raiders would play all season. And we saw why going into that game because I believe both are playoff teams. I picked both to make the playoffs going into the season, and frankly, if that's what's going to happen, then you got to win those games for seeding and opportunity. And, now you look forward in a few weeks, the Raiders play the Dolphins, another game that will have huge playoff ramifications because it's going to be about this middle tier and who can separate themselves.
So they add this extra play, they expand the playoffs, which I'm especially for this season. But has enough really happened this year to warrant doing that? I mean, it's kind of like there hasn't been no games have been missed. I mean, the one Titans-Steelers game has already been made up. So I'm curious your thoughts. Like, it's not a bad thing that they did it, but I don't understand why they did it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're just preparing for the inevitability. But I'm with you. There is a little bit of a sense of like, might as well wait. I mean, it's kind of like the Big Ten. I mean, I at the time when the Big Ten canceled football, so many of us were saying, well, why now? Why not wait and see what happens? I would ask the NFL the same question. It's good to have the policy in place, but I don't know why you enact anything until you've actually seen what happens and what you need moving forward. So, but at the very least, it's the first time we've seen the NFL openly admit they need a contingency plan. So that's pretty substantial.
And real quick to feed off of that too, why would they not have announced that maybe a week before the trade deadline? Do you believe that would have changed some team? I mean, it was a very boring trade deadline, I'll say that. But would that have changed some teams' approach to the trade deadline? The NFL is not the most active trade deadline sport out there, but would that have changed some teams' approach to the trade deadline if teams that maybe didn't think they have a shot now are like, well, man, we actually now are a step closer?
Yeah, especially seeing that we saw some names go, like Dunlap goes for a 6th rounder. Like, I mean, if you're talking about a 6th-round swap to get you a better opportunity to get in the playoffs, I think people certainly would be more aggressive. And you're also right, it was a quiet trade deadline. I think we have to sort of acknowledge, too, though, are you willing as an organization to trade future assets without knowing if the season's even going to finish? And, while we don't really talk about that possibility often, I think it's got to be in the back of your mind if you're a GM and you're being asked to get rid of draft picks. So I wasn't surprised it was a quiet deadline, but you're right. I think it would have been a little more active if we'd at least known at that point.
We got the Bengals Steelers this week. Obviously, that's a hot button issue here in Ohio. Can Joe Burrow beat the Steelers?
Well, you guys know how much I love Joe Burrow. And, I almost felt bad. We were having a conversation on Monday Night Football on our digital preview show that I do with Field Yates and Diana Rossini. And the question was, which players, top 5 ranking we were doing of the young players in the league that you would build a franchise around. And they put Burrow in at number 5 in that conversation, above Dak, for example. And I think the hard part is that we're still so new to seeing Burrow. As much as I love his work, he can't beat them alone. And the offensive line that performed so well against the Titans is going to have another big-time performance. But this is a big test for Burrow in general. It's a big test for Coach Taylor also to see what kind of game plan they can come in with and what kind of opportunity they can have to win this game against one of the few teams in the NFL that actually seems to give a damn about playing defense.
You look at the Steelers, I say struggles. I mean, look, they looked a little rough against the Ravens 2 weeks ago. They looked really rough against the Cowboys, still coming away with wins, only undefeated team in the National Football League. Before we called you, of course, we were talking with all Bengals fans saying, hey, how confident are you that this could potentially be an upset? The one reason I stated that I do not think there will be an upset this week is mainly because the Steelers played so poorly against the Cowboys, such a well-coached team and led behind a veteran quarterback in Big Ben, assuming he plays. I just don't see them playing 2 poor games back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, and that I agree with. I think that's a really good point by you because we undersell how stinking great Mike Tomlin is. And I mean stinking great. You think about the coach, and look, I've listened to Steelers fans for years sort of apologize for why they don't have more Super Bowls with Big Ben and put it all at the feet of Tomlin. I think if there's anything we've learned over the last couple of years, we've spent a long time underappreciating the greatness of his coaching ability. I cannot imagine that they lay an egg again. And I think, frankly, everybody's a little fired up right now. Burrow is getting so much love. I think you see a little bit of pride come in now when you're playing against them. So for those reasons, I have a hard time seeing it. Also, let's just be real. I mean, the Steelers are talented and do disguise well. So while at this point Joe Burrow has done a great job of knowing where to go with the football, I'd be pretty stunned to see him come in and not struggle a little bit against the defense that is good at disguising blitzing coverage. So going to be asking a lot. Again, he's going to be under duress the whole time, too. So his ability to stay calm will be a big part of it, too. I have a hard time. It's not a statement against the Bengals, though. It's a statement for the Steelers and how good they are.
I see this as a must-win game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, only because Kansas City is 8-1 right now. And since there's only one bye for the number 1 seed in the NFL this year in the playoffs, like they have to keep winning because Kansas City is going to keep winning because they can just go ahead and take entire halves off against Carolina and then storm back and win the game. So it's very imperative, in my opinion, that the Steelers win these quote unquote must win games. Like I was telling Kenner earlier, like, okay, it's fine to lose to the Ravens, but you can't lose these games like to the Bengals and to the Cowboys.
Yeah, you're right about the pressure on the Steelers here. Also, I mean, your point is a really valid one when it comes to what we've seen from the Chiefs. I know they struggled against Carolina. They struggled against the Chargers. Both of those games, they took a half off, and they still came back and won. And frankly, I'm still trying to figure out how the hell the Raiders beat them. I mean, that was just an anomaly, right? Like, I believe that if the Kansas City Chiefs show up ready to play on any given Sunday, they beat anybody. So for the Steelers, they just don't have any wiggle room. It's hard for me to look at a game and feel like there's going to be a game left where I don't think the Chiefs win, and that's just the beast that everybody in the AFC is up against. So you're right. Also, at some point the Steelers they've got to figure out how to get better, even though that sounds weird with their record. The eye test, to use the college football phrase I love so much and hate so much all at once, the eye test is not undefeated for the Steelers. They've looked sloppy at times and still got away with wins. So I don't think you don't have the luxury of the benefit of the doubt that the Chiefs earned last year because it doesn't matter. We've seen what they look like. This Steelers team's got to play better.
We have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us here, one half of Spain and Fitz weeknights from 7 to 9, which you can catch right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Jason, I'm known for all my horrible hot takes, obviously. Now, you had a hot take last week. You had a hot take that as we transition to college football, that Notre Dame would get blown out by Clemson. You were adamant that they had no chance against Clemson. Now, you've been taking it on the chin all last couple of days since then. So just what happened?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm still trying to figure out what happened. I underestimated Notre Dame's defense. I did. I underestimated Notre Dame's team speed. And if anybody in the country thought Ian Book was going to have that game, I would love for you to rewind and tell me where you saw that coming. Because, Ian Book has been so maddeningly inconsistent. My biggest belief coming into the game is that Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator for Clemson, is so good that Ian Book wasn't going to be able to figure out where it was coming from, and he was just going to get thumped. Now, that being said, not only did the offensive line for Notre Dame, but also their running backs, their blitz pickup was they were the smartest team in the country during that game. And, at that point, I think if they run it back 10 times, I'm not sure Notre Dame wins that game over and over and over again, but doesn't take anything away from the fact that they did it, and I was absolutely wrong about it. So kudos to Notre Dame, but I'd still go when we get to the ACC championship, I'll still be predicting a blowout for Clemson because they're still the better team in my mind.
The rankings are always interesting. Cincinnati's an interesting team over here with Luke Fickell that we've spent a lot of time talking about. And, it's funny. I look at a team like Georgia who picks up their second loss, and, they're not in the top 10 anymore, but they're at number, they're sitting at 12. And it's one of those where we're not punishing them for losing twice. You have Cincinnati, who's undefeated. And, of course, I've made the argument that the college football playoff to me has really never been about getting the 4 best teams in. It's always been about getting the 4 best resumes in. That, to me, is what's working against Cincinnati, not just this season, but every season until we are shown something differently from the committee. But Cincinnati moves back after getting a big win. They improved to 6-0. Ohio State stays right where they're at. Notre Dame moves up. Clemson just drops back a couple. In your opinion, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, the chances that Cincinnati could possibly make the college football playoff this season as long as they win out?
7. And look, for anyone that doesn't know, Michael Luke Jr. and I have hosted Rankings Reaction together digitally. It'll come back starting on Tuesday. We've done this show for 3 years. I've done the mock committee process for the playoff. I feel like I have a really good understanding of the way things go. And the biggest thing that we have to remember, because you're right, it's never, everybody always asks, is it best or is it most qualified? I think it's the best of the most qualified. And that's a slight nuance to the way that it's discussed. But here's the thing. When you talk about Georgia, they have a blowout loss to Alabama. So they're out of the conversation. And Texas A&M is the team everybody's trying to cram in. They have a blowout loss. The committee has told you if you lose a game in blowout fashion, you cannot make the playoffs. So
Buckeye fans know this.
Anybody that right, exactly, right. So I'm taking anybody that has a blowout loss out of the conversation. That means at this point, yes, the Ohio State, Alabama, they are both headed towards the playoff. I can't see that not happening. So then it becomes about, okay, whichever team, Clemson or Notre Dame, I believe Clemson wins the ACC championship game. So now the question becomes, what happens to Notre Dame? If Notre Dame loses the ACC championship game in dramatic fashion at the end of the game, yes, I think 2 ACC teams get in. But the problem is, to your point with the resume, none of the Big 12 teams have a resume. The Big 10 as a whole looks really bad. Wisconsin's the only one that has a shot. They're not going to play enough football to get in. The Pac-12 is not highly regarded. So you start putting flaws in everybody else's resume. There is no flaw to the way that Cincinnati's won games. And Luke Fickell has done a tremendous job in building a team that's explosive on both sides of the ball. That's been great. We talked to Coach last week on Spain and Fitz. I believe that he is a superstar coach, and he's put Cincinnati in the right position. They get a little love because UCF has been left out of this conversation. This is the year that corrects. I think UCF is going to make the playoffs.
So Notre Dame, this week, they got Boston College all the way back in 1993 after they beat Florida State, the number 1 team in the country. They lost to Boston College. Can we get a repeat of that?
I don't think so, not only because Notre Dame's a better team, but because every Notre Dame fan I've talked to, or like former players I've talked to, all understand the importance of this game. I think Notre Dame comes fired in for this game. The trickier game for Notre Dame is going to be North Carolina, because this season didn't go the way that anybody expected for Mac Brown and the Tar Heels, but they are still a dynamic offense that's very talented, and I believe that that's the sort of game Notre Dame could overlook because there isn't this intrinsic history with UNC. So I really wonder if North Carolina is the trip-up game for the Irish. And if not, at some point I may have to give them respect. But still, come on, let's acknowledge that we were a dramatic ending away from that fumble being the defining moment of Ian Book's entire college career.
And last thing here on college football, the Pac-12, they're the last one to the party. So we're assuming that the college football playoff picture is going to feature a lot, the top 8 teams right now in that jumbled mess. And, we know the 4 are in that mess somewhere. Or do we? Of the Pac-12, I know Oregon's could potentially be in that conversation, but how much damage can the Pac-12 do as USC gets that come-from-behind win over Herm Edwards' team, Arizona State, over the weekend? What kind of damage does the Pac-12 have a shot, in your opinion? Do you feel good about a Pac-12 team potentially vying for a college football playoff spot?
I honestly think Cincinnati has a better shot than the Pac-12, but I will say Oregon was really impressive. We spent so much time figuring out what they were going to do with Chuck at quarterback and what that was going to look like. We forgot that, they're not even going to throw the ball because they're just going to run all over everybody. And kudos to their offensive line that's got so many pieces in it that aren't normal for coming out and playing that well. But you're right. I think USC's big win, and that was a calculated risk by the Pac-12. They moved the kickoff early because they wanted to be a bigger part of the conversation. They wanted more highlights to run. They wanted the Pac-12 to be recognized. And what we got was an epic ending, and Keaton Slovis looked incredible, and we're all in love with it. But that was a USC team that got their butt kicked for all but the last 3 minutes of that game. So, I think we get a little twisted on the highlights and results without remembering that Arizona State's not all that good, and they took USC right down to the wire. So I just don't think – I think the Pac-12 is going to trip over each other, and they don't walk in with the same level of street cred that the Big Ten and the SEC get. So they'll eliminate themselves from the conversation.
Indiana this will be the last. Is Indiana for real? We're doing a question here shortly with Buckeye fans. We have Maryland coming up in Indiana. Ohio State will be favored in both of those, but I'm just curious, of those two teams for Buckeye fans, which of those two opponents kind of worries Ohio State fans just a little bit more than the other, mainly because of the offense that both bring to the table. But is Indiana for real? I never thought I'd see a day where Maryland, Maryland, and you have, of course, Indiana and Northwestern all have better records than Michigan State, and Penn State. It's typical 2020.
Yeah, this has been the strangest year, and you're right. I mean, the first time in history since the Big Ten became a conference that Indiana and Northwestern are both 3-0 in conference play at the same time. Like, that shows you how unexpected this is. I think Penix is a really good quarterback, and I would love to see Indiana be legit. I just think that this is less about Indiana and more about how bad and how underprepared specifically Michigan. Like, Michigan got out hustled against Michigan State. They got flat out beat by Indiana. And that was a statement to Jim Harbaugh, the preparation of that team. They did not look good from the outset. Indiana, I got a lot of credit for them. And then Maryland on the other side, to your question about upcoming opponents. I mean, we saw this last year for Maryland when they exploded for points and then everybody figured it out. But Tungavaloa Light, the younger brother, has looked incredible. And I'd love to see Maryland and Indiana go on runs. They're just top to bottom, not as talented as Ohio State. Like, we've got to remember at some point that what we've really seen this year is that Ohio State is a great football team, and the rest of the Big Ten this year isn't very good. And so Indiana's rising. That's great. It's a fun story. But to imply that there's anything other than a massive ocean between Ohio State and the rest of the Big Ten, I think is absolutely not true.
All right, good stuff. Jason Fitz, one half of Spain and Fitz, weeknights from 7 to 9 right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. One more time, give everyone information, too, about the digital show you and Mike Golick Jr. do as well, the college football show.
Oh, yeah, Rankings Reaction comes back next Tuesday. So after you get the rankings on ESPN, you can just tune into ESPN and the app or on Twitter. And Junior and I, we usually hang out in this couch, although socially distanced, so we don't know what it'll look like this year. We'll be hanging out. We do all of the same reacting. We just do it in a more casual and we think fun way. So it's a good way to get all of your college football reaction fix.
All right. Sounds like a plan. We'll definitely be looking forward to tuning in. Jason, thanks so much. As always, take care.
Thanks. Y'all have a great week.
Later.
All right, Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio, good stuff there. In fact, you talked about that rankings reaction show. That's coming back because, well, the rankings are coming out. They're coming out like the ones that matter, right?
The real ones.
The real ones. Now, everyone said, the AP rankings don't matter. And then when the college football playoff rankings come out, if we don't like where Ohio State is, we'll say, well, the first one doesn't matter. And then if they move into number 1 or 2 in the second week, then they'll matter. That's just how this works. The rankings that matter are the ones that show us where we want our teams to be. And then when they don't have our team where we want them, what the hell do these people know? Right?
What would I say in that situation?
1 week at a time.
That's right.
All you got to do is just win every week and things will take care of itself. God, that's so boring. That's a weird. No, hot takes. Come on,
it's a
hot
fact.
takes.
It's a fact.
But it's boring. If that's the case, then we won't ever talk college football until we know who's in the national. Actually, we'll just wait till the national championship is over and say, well, we took it one day at a time. We just needed to wait. There's no point having an opinion because everything can change tomorrow.
Call me when it's over.
We'll be back, folks. Don't go to 457-9464. Thank you, Jason Fitz, for your time. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You decided to upgrade your outdoor deck. So you ordered the essentials: a power washer, a set of patio chairs, and a shiny new grill. And you used your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member, which you put towards your most essential deck addition, a bird feeder. Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
And now a game of commercial chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
Oh, hi. Okay, guess we should talk about something. Kind of tough to be put on the spot. Not sure what to say. But I know what I'm definitely not talking about. Drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
There's no place like home for the holidays or HomeDepot.com for holiday decor with Black Friday prices inside and out, like artificial Christmas trees starting just $39.98, or outside lights and playful inflatables to bring joy to the neighborhood. Order holiday decor online and you'll even get free delivery. Holiday decorating improved with an assortment of holiday decor plus free online delivery from HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done while supplies last.
With thousands of locally owned Napa stores across the nation, chances are that wherever you call home, we do too. And that's why you can find us in big cities, small towns, and everywhere in between, doing what we've always done to help keep our local communities moving forward. So whether you stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, Auto Care Center, or visit us at Napa online, you can count on Napa know-how.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
Save big money on your next project at Menards. Max manufactures the highest quality bathroom products like bathtubs and showers. Products that are built with a quality that will last. Right now, all Max products are 11% off. Stop waiting and start saving today on everything you need at Menards. 11% good until November 14th. Savings or mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Listen to this radio station on the radio.com app anytime, anywhere. Listen to more than 300 stations along with more than 3,000 podcasts from your home area or across the U.S. all free.
With the radio.com app.
Cleveland State women's basketball coach Chris Kilsmeyer, COVID survivor.
I was fatigued, just like every other basketball coach in March, but didn't think about getting sick. I woke up one night with the worst pains and chills I'd ever experienced. I tested positive for coronavirus and immediately self-quarantined. I got worse and worse and checked into the hospital. Multiple times I said, I don't want to die. We know what works. We know how to fight this, but it's going to take all of us doing the right thing every single day.
Sponsored by the Ohio Hospital Association.
Hi, this is Kim Frisco, Executive Director of Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission. On Veterans Day, we honor and remember every man and woman who has ever worn the uniform of our country. Americans who stepped forward and swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution and laws of this great nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We must never forget their service and sacrifice. To my fellow veterans, thank you. God bless you, and may Veterans Day and every day bring you joy in the freedoms our country has because of your sacrifices. We also thank our future veterans serving at home and abroad. To those serving around the world today or transitioning out of the military, we are here for you. Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is available to assist you with your VA benefits and emergency financial assistance. If you need assistance, please contact us at 937-225-4801.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works Package and the Double Take Tire Specials. Call today for your appointment, 937-419-8473 or 1-800-700-0050. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're live on Facebook. Search the Justin Kinner Show and follow along, of course. Every time you jump in on the conversation, of course, we pull your comment into the show. You get to show off your little Facebook profile picture. You get to be involved in the conversation. Always a lot of fun. Don Roberts says, Kev, I don't talk smack either. He's another Steelers fan. He goes, I don't talk smack either, Kev. Go Steelers. It's like your fan base, ooh, been there before. Look like you've been. God, you guys are annoying. I'll take the dumbness of Bengals fans or the snootiness of Steelers fans any day. Oh, yeah.
How is this snooty?
Oh, hold on. Don't get nosebleed, Kev.
I'm just
come
chilling,
back,
man.
Hopefully you can come back down here and hang out with us normal folk. You all right? I mean, I hate that you have to spend 3 hours with us losers every day. My goodness. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Ooh, don't touch it. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Well, I'm good. I don't go there. Never do.
Went there yesterday.
I'm not even an opinionated person. All right. How about this? Let's close out hour number 2. The Cameron Crazies have been sidelined as collegiate sports continue to wrestle with the impact of the coronavirus. Duke will not have fans for college basketball games. And again, Duke announced this Tuesday that it will not have fans at Cameron Indoor Stadium for men's and women's basketball home games, silencing one of the game's most historic and frenzied venues. So this sounds like it's for the entire season, not just for the early part. Various conferences have come out and said, for at least, November, December. The school has announced its ACC schedule. North Carolina, February 6th, and March 6th, of course, on the road. It goes on to say that a trip to Duke home basketball games is a bucket list item for most collegiate basketball fans. Capacity is about 9,000. That feels like you're surrounded by 100,000 people in the building. It just goes on to talk about the historic relevance of the fact that they pulling the plug on fans at Cameron Indoor Stadium coming up this season. Speaking of this basketball season, we kind of know that we're well on the road to the college basketball season, but the NBA season finally has been approved to start on December 22nd. NBA Players Union, they all reached an agreement on the amended CBA with free agency set to begin on November 20th, which, keep in mind, the reason that's significant is we talked about with Matt Babcock from Babcock Hoops the other day. The season starts on December 22nd. Mm-hmm. The NBA draft is November 18th. NBA free agency then takes place on November 20th. So teams right now are all in flux. I saw that like the Lakers and the Heat will go 70, like a little over 70 plus days between
finals and games. Yeah.
The teams who did not play in the bubble have had over 260 days off between March and now.
The Cavs.
Oh, yeah. They should be well rested, right? They should be well rested. But this is going to be strange. If anything, people who are feeling sorry for the Lakers and the Heat who just have to hit the ground running again, they might be in better shape than these teams who haven't played since March. Look, If LeBron needs a rest, he's going to get a rest.
Yes.
If LeBron and the Lakers don't repeat as NBA champions, it's not going to be because they only had 70 days off between finals and when they tipped off the next season. It is strictly going to be because another roster is constructed better or they don't play as well. It's going to have nothing to do with this. I think we're making too much of the lack of rest between games. Look, keep in mind, March 11th or 12th or whenever the last game was of the regular season before when COVID took it down back in March, they went about 4.5 months without a game, which is way longer than your traditional NBA offseason. The NBA offseason is one of the shorter ones. So I think they'll be fine. A veteran-led group, give some guys some off nights. They'll be fine. But Anthony Davis, veteran player, not an old player. LeBron's old, plays better than most veterans, younger veterans. So Lakers will be fine. As we talked about earlier, lots of teams being devastated by the coronavirus right now as far as having to postpone, cancel games. The SEC basically is having a bye week this coming up weekend. Auburn Tigers also have paused activities after 12 positive coronavirus tests.
Ooh.
And this is the thing I got into it with fans over the weekend about the Notre Dame game, because my next article here says that Notre Dame mandates COVID testing after the football celebration on Saturday. Of course, the fans, like a bunch of morons, all rushed the field after their big win over Clemson, which, by the way, that's a big win for Notre Dame.
Yes, huge.
But if Ohio State would have beat Clemson at the shoe, Buckeye fans aren't rushing the field.
I don't know.
Because act like you've been there before.
I don't know.
Really? I don't know. I don't feel like they would. I feel like it'd be a big win. I guess they could rush the field for Michigan.
But that's rush the field for me. I was at that game when they rushed the field for Michigan. Herb's first year, I rushed the field. But I believe that they do rush the field simply because it's Clemson. It's a big time opponent, quote unquote, number one team in the country at our place. And we've never beat Clemson. So I believe if that happened at Ohio State, people would rush the field too.
OH31.
I hate you.
No, so Clemson or Notre Dame fans rush the field. By the way, even if Ohio State rushed the field, I don't care one way or another. Okay. I do care, though, during a pandemic. Yeah. And now here's the part of the conversation where people are like, oh, my God, I'm so sick of being talked at about the coronavirus. I'm not talking at you about the coronavirus. My opinion is simply stemmed around the impact of the virus. Like, people don't care. Like, there are people out there. There's a reason that the numbers have spread to where they are, because people aren't afraid of the virus. They don't care about their health. They don't care about the health of others. That's a given. Don't try to argue me otherwise. For those of you out there who thinks this was all like just made up and everything, you're full of it. I'll leave it at that. My opinion on the virus is simply based on how it impacts sports. Because even if I believe that the virus was a joke and made up and that it wasn't real, I still have to acknowledge that a positive test, whether it's real or not, impacts an entire season. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Trevor Lawrence missed the game over the weekend, not because he needed a night off to study, because he tested positive for the coronavirus. And whether you think the virus is serious or not, or, oh, man, these players shouldn't be missing games for that. If he was healthy, he should have been able to play. Even if that's your opinion, it doesn't matter, because the rule is you test positive, you're out for a significant amount of time for quarantine. And, of course, they have to, the cardiac tests, everything else that they have to do.
Right.
And the Big Ten, Justin Fields, if he tests positive, he's out for 21 days. You could think that's stupid. Okay, whatever. It doesn't change the fact that he's out for 21 days. So my opinion on it is, yes, it is a big deal when players test positive because of stuff like this. So Notre Dame rushing the field, they're morons. They try to act like, oh, man, Notre Dame, we're very selective on the students we come here. Not only are they have to be big and athletic, they have to have the brains, too. We don't just let anyone come here like Ohio State. Oh, we're Notre Dame. Well, I just saw thousands of the stupidest kids in the world all rush the field this past Saturday. So Notre Dame fans, if you're a fan of Notre Dame, shame on you. And you, all right, don't ever waste my time with calling in here and trying to tell me how smart Notre Dame is, because you just had an entire student section make you guys look like the stupidest fan base in the entire world. So nice job, student section. School spirit? No, school stupidity. How about that? Notre Dame, it's not often you get to win the dumbest fan base award, but hey, congratulations for defending that. What if those players test positive, Kev? There are players still on the field, and then you have Kelly who said, oh, well, I've warned my players before that they need to get off the field because if we win, the students are rushing the field. So if you knew that, Why didn't you have security step up and make sure that doesn't happen? And then on Facebook, Twitter, everyone like right away, oh, the fun police sucking the fun right out of the. What are you talking about, people?
There's a reason why a lot of these other places aren't allowing fans at the games. That's why they're allowing limited capacity at a lot of these games, because we know that this is how college football, this is how the student body reacts to big time wins and everything like that. It's not safe to do it. Matter of fact, I would question anybody going to these games that isn't like a blood relative. Like, my godson plays for Centerville. I don't go to those games. I'm not gonna be going to none of those basketball games this year. Sorry. Skype me after the game. Let me know how it went.
So you would, because you couldn't contain yourself, you'd rush the field after.
Absolutely. Good shot, baby.
You would rush the field. I know how that goes.
Chest bump.
But 457-9464. I'm curious. I really want to know, people's thoughts on this. Because like I said, I'm not anti-fun. I don't mind student sections having fun. But my goodness, when you, I don't care what your opinion is about the virus. You may mock it. You may mock the security measures being put in place to protect people. But keep in mind, okay, that those are put into play regardless of what you think of the virus. If you don't handle this responsibly and you spread the virus, players miss games. When players miss games, teams lose. When teams lose, you don't make the college football playoff. When you don't make the college football playoff, you might as well be a fan of Rutgers.
Trick plays.
All right, folks, we have some calls coming in. We'll get to your calls next, top of the hour. Also, be keeping in mind, we're going to dive into this conversation on the other side. College basketball. All right, college basketball. We know that UD and Ohio State both opted out of the Classic in Sioux Falls. We know that now. So now we do know that they have 3 days open for games. They don't have opponents anymore on those dates, and they have 3 dates that were scheduled for opponents that they no longer have any kind of obligation anywhere else. Why shouldn't the Ohio State UD matchup happen? Why shouldn't UD and Wright State happen? Why Ohio State, Wright State? Who cares? No one's really clamoring for that game as much as the others. But you see my point. Mm-hmm. These teams, this Ohio State, UD especially, they have the same 3 days open. There's no excuse for why it shouldn't happen. So the question is, Dayton Flyers, Ohio State, Wright State, which matchup is more likely to happen? Ohio State versus Wright State? Ohio State versus Dayton, Wright State versus Dayton. Which of those matchups is most likely to happen? Kevin and I will discuss on the other side. Plus, we'll take your calls. 457-9464. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. Ready for an oil change? O'Reilly Auto Parts has everything you need. Our professional parts people can suggest the best products for your car and budget, like 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil, just $28.95. Plus, earn a $10 gift card after mail-in rebate and double O Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
My stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hi, this is Paul Keels, voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Keep your home comfort system running smoothly and efficiently with regular checkups from Butler Heating and Air Conditioning. Butler has been proudly serving the Miami Valley since 1949. Don't wait until your equipment breaks. Call Butler today at 937-253-8871. That's 937-253-8871. Go Butler and go Bucks.
The energy in Skyline is one of a kind, and I love that. When a smiling face is greeting you and they want to give you a great experience, they want to make you feel like you're part of their family. Skyline does a wonderful job of that. When you think of Skyline Chili, you think of like being with your friends and your family. It's just a whole experience when we go to Skyline. We love the friendliness, just being together, that family unit. We were happy, so happy to be at Skyline.
Susie, I love you. Your skin is soft like a fresh leather interior.
Oh, Joe.
Your smell is intoxicating like that of a new tire.
You always know how to make me blush.
So this year I got you something special.
Tires! Touring tires with an asymmetrical tread design.
Yeah, and a free alignment with standard installation.
It's just what I've always wanted.
Susie doesn't know that Joe saved $150 at tire discounters. This holiday, say it with tires.
I'm Charla. I'm a Park National banker, and I'm a new grandma. At Park National Bank, we believe that we're more than our job titles, and you're more than an account number. Now, bringing our family of community banks together under a single brand name means you get those core values you always counted on from us, and more service, more access, and more options. We're all together now at Park National Bank, where you mean more.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are outliers. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. For facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
Back, Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So the 2020-2021 A-10 men's basketball preseason awards and poll came out today, and Jalen Crutcher was named to the preseason all-conference first team.
You don't say.
Out of the A-10, which that should surprise absolutely nobody, but really not a lot of love for anyone else on the Flyers roster as of right now. Look, I think everyone gets all caught up in these preseason polls and awards. They matter at the time, but a month into the season, 2 months, it doesn't matter at that point. You know what I mean? So Jalen Crutcher was a given, and they're not in the top 25. They didn't get any top 25 votes. Everyone's a little upset about that. Just as you like to say, everything will take care of itself. It's a great coach, solid roster, ton of experience from last year's run. It's unfortunate they didn't get to have that in full display in the NCAA tournament. They'll be fine. This team will be fine. I'm excited to see what this team's capable of doing. I'm a little bummed, of course, that they opted out of the crossover classic. Ohio State did as well. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. But real quick, as we close out to talk about the A-10 basketball preseason awards and the poll, UD coming in at number 3. To finish number 3 in the conference. So, again, even if you're predicted to finish number 1, you don't get to hang a banner for that. Not the hang banners, but, it means nothing. They're in charge of what the perception is moving forward. I mean, it is what it is. I think it's tough. Look, you have a player in Obi Toppin who wasn't just good, he was great.
Right.
And he's about to be picked in probably the top 5 in the NBA draft coming up next week. Like, I'm not saying he hurts the Flyers this year because of how great he was last year, and they were new to the scene nationally, at least in recent history. I'm not talking about the Elite 8 run, a few years ago. I'm talking about new to the scene of not just the top 25, not just the top 10, but the damn top 5. You're number 3 in the country. And when you take that success and you put it all on the shoulders of one player, and that one player leaves, like, let's be clear, of course you're going to see a significant drop-off in the attention that the program gets. But what they built last year, that was more than just a foundation for what they're going to build off moving forward. And it will be fine. And that's coming from me, who always finds problems with everything. They'll be fine. Anthony Grant has done a fantastic job. They're going to continue to do a great job. I'm not worried about it. But with the Classic, with both teams, Ohio State and UD opting out, it's interesting. Tomorrow we're going to have Mark Adams on the show to talk about, what's going on in college basketball right now with the difficulties in scheduling and the difficulties, that in my opinion, there are difficulties in scheduling, but some of those difficulties are like self-inflicted wounds, to be honest with you. I think the egos of some universities are keeping them from getting easier matchups on their schedule. Not really easy as in competitiveness level wise, but easy as in access wise. In this city alone, I know that UD puts their nose up to Wright State, but I don't want to hear from their athletic director, Neil Sullivan, and I mean this in no disrespectful way at all, but I know it'll be taken that way. I don't want to hear him or read his quotes in the Dayton Daily News like last year when he talked about how difficult it is to schedule and it's tough to find games when that's not true. You've created your own mess as far as that goes of being selective, which is fine because it's hard to argue about the job he did. He clearly put together a schedule last year that was good enough to get them to that conversation. So, it is what it is. But there is no excuse for what you have. I mean, the state of Ohio alone, and I'm not talking about doing this big Ohio Classic that everyone's so obsessed with, we take 4 teams, and of course, Wright State's always left out of that. And by the way, I get that. I'm not arguing that they should be in the 4. But UD to act like, oh man, we have to go an hour here for this team, an hour here for this team, an hour here. You have a team 12 miles from you. That is not going to one way or another make or break your NCAA tournament chances, okay? When you have other bad teams on your schedule and to me, this makes no sense. Just because you have money doesn't mean you have to spend money. You wouldn't have to pay Wright State to do a home and home, right? You wouldn't have to pay Wright State to do that, but you would rather pay opponents to come in and get an ass whooping just so you can get your 20 wins for the season to rack up your resume, which I get from that standpoint. It's good business trying to build your resume for the NCAA tournament. I get that. But from a business, this is why I don't feel bad for universities during COVID who talk about, man, we're taking such a big hit money-wise. You go look at the spending of how they spend their money. It's so stupid. You literally, with teams galore around you, you spend money on opponents to come in just so you can get your W's on the year. Like, that's ridiculous. I don't feel bad when you're going to talk about the difficulties in scheduling when you create your own problems as far as that goes. They're the bully to Wright State, and Ohio State's the bully to UD. Right? Like, if you really think about everything that UD thinks about Wright State, Ohio State thinks about UD. We don't have to play them. What does playing UD do for us? Now, technically, because of the status of UD as of late, with what they've been able to accomplish, they do kind of help Ohio State more than Wright State would help UD, because Wright State's not going to help them. As far as you look at the quadrants and everything else, those tier wins and everything like that. Wright State's not going to help UD as far as that goes, the way UD would help Ohio. Like, if Ohio State beats UD, that helps them more resume wise than UD beating Wright State as far as that goes. But it doesn't matter. I'm tired of every year we get to this point where we start reading newspaper clippings. Is that a thing anymore? Headline, Twitter headlines. Yeah, Twitter headlines and Twitter clippings of athletic directors having the nerve to say, "Man, it's tough out there. No one wants to play us. No one wants to play. I mean, because we're UD, we're so good. No one wants to come into the arena, folks. I'm going to tell you a little secret. No one wants to go to the Nutter Center and play either. It's not a status of, because we're so good, no one wants to come play us. It's a status of the teams you want to come play you don't want to come play you, not because you're really good. It's because of the conference you play in. It's not they don't look at UD and snob UD. They look at the conference and snob the conference. Like, Ohio State's not going to come to the UD arena and play at UD arena. I'm not saying it hasn't been done before, but you see my point. Like, right now in today's climate of college basketball, they are not going to look at Ohio State or UD and say, "Oh yeah, we'll come play you there." Now I'm getting right away. People are like, "Well, Ohio State was willing to go play Cincinnati." Again, Cincinnati, UD, great college basketball programs. A-10, American Conference. The American Conference got the rub there, not the A-10.
And UC used to be in the Big East when the Big East was like the gigantic conference before everybody bailed to the ACC and everything like that. I think it's just very difficult, especially for you and I, since we're Wright State alums, and love college basketball as much as we do. When when the season tips off and you see Villanova playing, the Philadelphia 5 schools and things like that, So it's very difficult to watch that. And then you have 2 teams in your hometown that refuse to play each other.
Not 2 teams that refuse to play each other. There's one team that refuses to play the other one. I know for a fact that one school has contacted the other one. I know that. So I'll leave it that there. But keep in mind, I'm not one of those that I'm not upset. I get mad at UD for not playing Wright State for the BS reasons that they try to convince the fan base why they don't do it.
Right. So like this year, Villanova, they're playing St. Joe's on the 30th.
Yep.
Like that's a thing there. Like they make it a big deal. Everybody comes out. You got your St. Joe's fans, you got your Nova Wildcat fans, and everybody comes out and has a great time, and it's a great revenue generator for the city. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be a great revenue generator because can't go to the games this year. But, in a normal situation, think about how many people will be at that game. Think about the bragging rights. Think about the generation of money that could be for both institutions and everything like that. I just see it as a missed opportunity. And whoever's making those calls not to make this game happen, shame on you. Shame on you.
Boosters.
I don't know who it is. I'm not tapped in like that. But it's definitely a shame on them situation.
And look, and by the way, I know that there is an art to scheduling. It's not as simple as like, okay, we need to at least get, X amount of non-conference games in. You got to make the non-conference games count. But what I don't like is that literally teams would rather fork over money to bring opponents in than to just schedule a home and home that doesn't require you spending dollars on that. So that's why I have a problem with that. In the day and age where we're having to feel bad for teams because we're losing revenue because of COVID. Well, you spend money stupid anyways. I'm pretty sure if you changed how you handled your scheduling with that, you could save money instead of spending thousands of dollars per team to bring them in just to whoop them for a little bit. If you are so much better than Wright State, couldn't you just do it for free? Rather than pay a Detroit or a Cleveland State out of the horizon, why would you pay them to come in to kick their butt when all you do is your fan base and everyone just insinuates that UD is so much better than Wright State? Here's a good business decision for you, and it's free. People love free things. People love free stuff. Mm-hmm. If you're so much better than that team 12 miles away, bring them in. You get to kick their ass for free. You're so much better than them. Do it for free. What, you know what I mean? Like, don't pay. Stop wasting money on paying opponents to come in. Just beat up on some of the local teams. Do it with Miami of Ohio. Bring in Ohio University. Beat up on them for a little bit. Bowling Green. Beat them all up. Win the MAC championship. Do what you got to do. Hold up real quick. Michael Green says, nobody wants to come to the Nutter Center, not even Wright State fans. Well, Michael, that's actually not necessarily true. What Wright State has is actually about normal for what the norm is in college basketball. UD is such a special place that they have something that is not normal, and it's a good thing. What they have is great. What UD has is outside of the norm in college basketball. Wright State gets about, anywhere between 4,000 to 6,000 fans per game. That's about on the use for a mid-major basketball program. In fact, that's well above the average for most mid-major basketball programs. So I'm acknowledging that both live in two different worlds. UD is above Wright State in regards to the conference that they play in, the revenue and the resources they have. Wright State can't touch that. They can't touch it. I'm acknowledging that. I'm not acting like they're on the same playing field and that they should be doing the same things. That's not true. Wright State, as far as money goes, like they spend in the Horizon League, especially for most schools in the state of Ohio, they're at the bottom in regards to money spent. They're not close to being on the same plan. Mm-hmm. But that's not the argument I'm trying to make here. And to Michael's point, nobody wants to come to the Nutter Center. Well, guess what? Nobody can go to the Nutter Center. So for the UD fans that like to use the excuse of, UD is not going to go fill up the Nutter Center. Well, then you know what? You're out of one of those dumb excuses you always use for why the two programs don't play, because fans aren't allowed at the Nutter Center this year. So technically UD can man up and go play at the Nutter Center, and they wouldn't have to worry about that feared, oh man, I don't want to create business for Wright State. I don't want to put fans in their stands. They can just go play.
They can just
go play. Do it.
They can go play at the Kroc Center.
Hey, go do it. Go to the Nutter Center, play. They can't have fans at the Nutter Center this year. So that little crybaby excuse of, we don't want to put fans in their stands. Well, guess what? You can't. Not allowed. So you know what? You're fine. So, and like I said, here's the other question I had for UD fans. That's what, this is what I'm really curious about. If Ohio State contacted UD, okay, if Ohio State contacted UD and said, we're willing to play, you come to us, it's a one-off. We're not going to the arena. Do they take it? And of course, on Twitter today, got a couple people back and forth saying 1,000% yes. I don't think it's 1,000% yes.
Really?
I don't think it's 1,000% yes. UD reminds me of UCF. UD reminds me of UCF. Now, it's a little different. Florida reached out to UCF and offered them like a 3-for-1.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, when you're UCF and you struggle getting these big-time matchups, I don't care if it's all 4 at Florida. You say yes because you need those. I mean, that's why it's a little different than college basketball. That UCF needs that matchup more than UD needs Ohio State. But, we're talking about an hour gap between the two. Of course, you'd like to see it happen, especially 2 in-state schools as good as both are. But I do believe UD looks at themselves after, again, they're a successful basketball program, but they have not dominated the A-10. It's not as if they are just literally strangling that conference. They don't have it by the neck and are strangling. Last year was a beyond fantastic year. Mm-hmm. Keep building on that. Keep doing that. Then you can have the mindset of, oh, no, we're not going to be disrespected by being offered a one-off. You're going to come here, too. I get from a business standpoint why you want the home and homes. Mm-hmm. You want, hey, we'll go play you twice. You come here once. Like, do it. Do what you got to do. But UD will not, in my opinion, I think their egos are going to get in the way. They would not accept a game at Ohio State and then not get one in return. Man. Like, that's just how there is too much involved in that. And I do not believe for 1 second that they would accept a one-off game. Sully, who we're going to have later this week, he tweeted and said, they got to take anything at this point. They got to accept anything. They do what you got to do to get this done. If that was their approach, then that other matchup from across town would happen, because if it truly is about doing anything at all costs to get games, there's a school 12 miles away that'll do it. So that's where I just truly believe that if Ohio State was even willing to play UD, Ohio State has every right to not say, I don't want to play at the arena, and UD should grant that. Say, fine, we'll come play you, even if they don't get a return game.
I get you. It's just so difficult when you see a Kentucky last year and they played Evansville. You see North Carolina, they played North Carolina, Wilmington. You see Duke playing in-state schools. Matter of fact, you see Duke playing North Carolina A&T. So it's like, look, man.
They just got a big recruit, by the way.
Yes. So for me, it's like, hold on. You're not North Carolina. You're not Duke. You're not Kentucky. I think we all can agree to that.
Yep.
So if they can play these teams, and not only sometimes play these teams, sometimes they're even going to those cities to play. What makes you so different? What entitlement do you have to say, shun the school that's 12 miles away? I have no idea what it is about. I have no idea. I'm totally in the dark. I've been asking this question since I became a freshman at Wright State a long time ago, questioning, well, why don't they play? And nobody has the answer. Nobody can give me a clear, concise, direct answer why they won't play.
There are, with the the NCAA tournament, the strength of schedule, the quadrant system, and all, from that standpoint, Wright State does not benefit UD from the quadrant system of, where you got to, the certain games and the wins you need to get, and certain. Wright State doesn't appease that. So I get that. If they want to come out and wave that flag, fine. But that's not what's going on, because you can't say that Wright State, you can't play them because they don't help you, but then you turn around and you play Cleveland State.
Right. That's what I was about to say. You can't play teams from that exact conference and say this team isn't worthy. I would love to hear the true answer. We'll never get the true answer why they won't play. We'll never get the true answer. And like I'm gonna say it plain and simple. Shame on you. Shame on you, man. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, man. To see, these great matchups, and I know the UC and Xavier game a couple years ago got a little haywire with a fight and everything like that. But this is what people want to see. This is what the fans want to see. They want to see these matchups of teams that are.
But see, UD fans will tell you they don't want to see it. Like, as much as I think I would like to see it, I think it's because me and you are on the side of the underdog. So of course we want to say, yeah, let's do it. Let's see. UD fans, I don't think, care about it. And to be fair, in the job that Scott Nagy has done since coming to Wright State of putting that program on the map here in this city to the point to where they're getting 5,000 to 6,000 fans coming out for these games. There's been games the last couple of years that have been building blocks that I'm like, I've been doing this for a while, and the atmosphere the last couple of years of games has just totally been different. But I can't talk like that because I get mocked by UD fans that say, oh, look, the 6,000 fans, he's talking about a great atmosphere. I'm talking about from where the program was when I first started covering the team to now, just to see the growth. When I see fans go to the Nutter Center now, it's not just a matter of, oh, we're just, if a bucket's made, they're clapping, they're cheering, they got their free T-shirt, they got their $1 beer night, they're fine. Now you have fans who are filling up that place they have connections with the players now. There's fan favorites who are running up and down the floor, like Loud and Love, love. Like I just chatted with him today. We're going to have that interview later on. But he's a fan favorite. Like fans know who he is. He's for amongst Wright State fans, like that fan base has grown. It's not UD. It never will be UD. And I've never spoken to anyone in that administration over there that believes that they are UD or going to be. You focus on being you, and you focus on being as good as you are for who you are, for being a mid-major school. They are fine. They're way above average for who Wright State is and what size school they are and what size conference they play in. Like, they're really, really good for who they are. Not comparing them to you, just like UD, really, really good for who they are. They're not Duke. They're not North Carolina. Most years they're not Ohio State. Last year was completely different, though. That was the outlier year. And in my opinion, they're good enough. Anthony Grant's good enough to build a roster to where they are that, to where we're not going to wet our pants every time we see UD in the top 10 because we should just expect him to get there. And Anthony Grant's good enough to get that done, and he's slowly doing it. Look at the recruiting bump that we just saw from after that's why last year was so important. That's why I'm bummed that we didn't get to see UD in the NCAA tournament and get a chance to go up against the big dogs, because what would have been different about that is the Elite 8-year run. You're a Cinderella team. Right. It's a Cinderella run. Everything you do is like, well, if we win, we win great. If we lose, we weren't supposed to be here anyways. Last year, that wouldn't have been the case.
Totally different.
You were sitting at the adult table. You had adult beverage. It's like you just turned 21 and now no one's judging, asking you for your ID. You're one of the cool kids now. That's what the expectation should be moving forward. So to demand that Ohio State has to come here in some kind of game, no, that ain't going to happen, and it shouldn't. Ohio State's Ohio State. They've established themselves for many, many years. UD has the ups and the downs. They play in a smaller conference. That's what it's going to come down to. But I think that if Ohio State reaches out to UD and says, hey, we'll do it, but you got to come to us, they need to do it. There's no excuse. Both teams opted out of that damn classic. They have the same 3 days open. They have the same 3 days open.
But you believe they'll say no.
I believe they will say no if Ohio State says you have to come to us and play us only. We will not go back for a return game. I believe that their egos will say no. Look what they just built last year. They're trying to convince people that there's Ohio State and there's us, and some are trying to convince you that there's UD and then Ohio State beneath them, which is crazy, but some believe that. Last year especially, but that's besides the point. My point is that they feel that they've built themselves up to be one of the faces of college basketball in the state of Ohio, which they are. Mm-hmm. And if you go to Columbus and get beat up by 20 and you don't get a return game and a chance to maybe beat up back on them, I compared it to the Cincinnati game in football.
Right.
Like, we're talking about Cincinnati football this year as this powerhouse, right? And they are. Cincinnati's really good for who they are. I don't think they match up well against an Alabama or an Ohio State or a Clemson. We saw Cincinnati play at Ohio State last year and got shut out 45-0 or whatever the score was. From that point on, you had guys like me who mocked Cincinnati and said, oh, so now those fans will be quiet because they're sitting there trying to tell us that, oh, they're one of the big dogs, and they got shut out by one of the big dogs 45-0. I'm comparing UD basketball to Cincinnati football a little bit. They're newer to the scene, the national scene on a regular basis. It's like, okay, so now when you get your shot, you got to make it count. UD has to be smart. If they get a time to play Ohio State, they need to make sure, for one, that their roster's strong enough to beat Ohio State. I think that they're there to do that. I mean, the heavy guard play, who knows the depth of the post position, but that's a conversation for later. They got to be smart for when they accept that matchup. I don't think they're against going to play there, but they do want a return matchup, because if you go and get beat bad, you would like to think that, okay, but at least we have them on our home floor next year. We'll be able to revenge that loss. If they go down there and get beat by 20 plus, that shuts UD fans up and says, okay, stop. You tried to come play at our place. We shut you down. Now enough. I think they have to be selective. So that's why I also think that it wouldn't be a definite yes, that they would definitely go play Ohio State in a one-off.
UD blows Ohio State out last year.
I don't think so. I think it'd be close.
The way that UD played defense, I believe Ohio State would have struggled to get the ball into the post to Wesson.
That's because Weston's dumbass is sitting out in the corner waiting for a three. I agree with you. All right, folks. We'll be back in a moment. But, man, I just want to see Ohio State UD play. We had Chris Holtman on the show earlier in the summer, and he said, oh, man, UD fans, they let them have it on Twitter. You're a coward. You're afraid. He's open for it, but he wants like what they had at Butler, Yeah. And that's fine, but he talked about how difficult it is because you have to schedule it so far out in advance. You can't use that excuse right now because Ohio State has 3 days open, UD has 3 days open. If they don't play each other, someone's to blame. You got to point the finger at somebody, because there's really no excuse for it. And I asked the question, which matchup is more likely to happen? Ohio State, Wright State, Ohio State, UD, or Wright State, UD? Look, I'm not trying to be mean here, but like we had a charity game for the Oregon District shootings. It took two teams from out of state to come to a charity game for our city when UD and Wright State didn't do a damn thing. And Neil Sullivan, when asked about it, said, well, we give back 365 days a year. I don't care about that. I care about that situation. It shouldn't have taken West Virginia. Who was it? Was it who they play?
I totally forgot.
Doesn't matter. It wasn't Wright State. It wasn't UD. That was the problem. So if a charity game for that type of severe situation couldn't force the hand of one of those two schools to make it happen, nothing will.
Yeah, that Wright State UD game ain't happening.
And it's pathetic.
Ever. I don't think it's ever going to happen. It ain't going to happen while we in town.
That's all I'm saying. Is that's my biggest. Like, if a charity game for the Oregon District shootings couldn't get UD to play Wright State, nothing will. Not even COVID. They would rather just say, we would rather just have less games than to put Wright State on the schedule. Whatever. That says more. I mean, they work harder to not play them than the amount of time and effort it would be to get them on the schedule.
Egos, man.
Woo, out of breath. Get all fired up talking about that one. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. You're listening to the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. Don't go anywhere. We'll take more of your calls and your Facebook reaction when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and windy, a high near 78. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms, a low around 55. And tomorrow for Veterans Day will be mainly cloudy with a high near 60. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
At Meadowbrook at Clayton, our state-of-the-art golf simulators are ready for play. Book your tee times now and get our special rate of $15 per half hour for up to 4 people per simulator. Here's your chance to play some of the great golf courses around the world, including Kiawah Island, Harbor Town, and Spain's Valderrama. Weekday and weekend hours are available, and safe prepackaged snacks and drinks are only steps away. Go online to meadowbrookatclayton.com for details. Everyone is welcome, so call and reserve your times now.
Right now, Allstate has almost as many ways to save as there are types of music. Save for being a new customer. Save for driving safely. Save for driving less with pay-per-mile insurance. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent to get a quote. Find out how much you can save today. Allstate. Now that should be music to your ears.
Not available in every state. Savings based on early signing, discount driveways, and mile west. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Smooth Brook, Illinois.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Of course we can help you with that oil change. Doing it yourself is a great way to save some money. Right now you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX high mileage motor oil and an STP oil filter for just $28.99. And we've got even more ways to get it. Just order online with our next day delivery or free same day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
College football, it's the game you wake up early on Saturdays for, even though kickoff isn't until 7. The game where the Goodyear blimp becomes a Hall of Famer. The game that goes just beyond school, spirit, fandom, or love of the sport. It's the game where the comebacks happen. It's the game where anything can and will happen, as long as you have the drive. Because college football is the game that moves you. We get it because it moves us too. Goodyear, more driven.
For the one standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 special financial relief assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
Champagne Dental, taking the fear out of dentistry.
Don't let your dental benefits go to waste. Most insurance benefits roll over in January, and what you don't use, you lose. Now is the time to make an appointment to maximize your insurance. Give Champagne Dental Group in Urbana a call at 937-653-8650 to get scheduled today, or visit online at champagnedentalgroup.org.
Champagne Dental, taking the fear out of dentistry.
All those mouths to feed. So many different cravings. In a world filled with endless dinner options, lives a family ravaged by hunger. The answer lies with one man. No, not just a man, a king, a pizza king. Get a large Casano's Deluxe Pizza for $15.99 or a large pepperoni for just $12.99. Call 294-KING and see for yourself why the proof is in the taste. Pizza King.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
What's in store this holiday at your local Staples?
Great deals on the hottest brands.
Staples has this year's must-have gifts for working or learning from home.
Like Apple AirPods, great for video conferences or online classes.
And now at Staples, Apple AirPods Pro are just $194. You save $55.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside.
Get the most wonderful deals on gifts this holiday at Staples.
Ends 11/14. In-store only. Limit 2 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Smoothbrook, Illinois.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kenner for Justin Kenner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Justin Kenner, Kevin Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. And throw out the question one more time, Kev. Again, which matchup is more likely to happen? If you had to put money on one of these matchups to happen, which one would it be? Ohio State, Wright State? That would be a bye game most likely. But as we talked about earlier, the conferences when they do buy games, you don't buy the teams at the top of the conferences,
Right.
especially when the preseason polls come out. That's one reason Wright State's not getting as many of those buy games. Now, of course, I don't know the behind the scenes as far as what Coach Nagy's philosophy is on those buy games, but when you're a school like Wright State, when every dollar matters at this point, you would think you would see more of them going and playing, the Kentucky, like when Billy Donlin was the head coach, they went out on the road all the time. They were going up against the bigger schools all the time. They were playing Georgetown. They were playing Kentucky. They were playing Ohio State. They were playing, even Cincinnati. They were doing that. They actually got Cincinnati to come to the Nutter Center years ago. That was over 10 years ago, which was pretty cool. But they did buy games all the time. I don't know if Coach Nagy's against that or not.
I remember they played a game at Kentucky back when Tubby Smith was there.
But see, the thing is, when you are those bigger schools, when you do buy games, you don't buy the top of the conferences. Even if you're picking a small conference like the Horizon League, when you're Kentucky and Ohio State, you're going to pull out those preseason polls. You're going to do your homework on what those teams are supposed to look like. You're not going to go knock on the door of Wright State or Northern Kentucky, the top two teams in the conference. Not maybe not this year, but Wright State's the preseason number one in their conference. Ohio State, Kentucky, and others who are head and shoulders better than Wright State, but they're not going to take a chance on paying a first place team out of a smaller conference to come in their first place for a reason because they have enough talent to be first place. They're not going to pay the Wright States and the NKUs of the world to go get their butt beat.
Right.
They're going to go pay the Cleveland States and the smaller schools in those conferences at the bottom. You don't. Those big schools don't pay the top half of those conferences for a risk.
Yeah.
And sometimes they still get bit in the behind.
Yeah, and you don't want to play a senior-laden team from a smaller conference, and then Joe Blow that you never even heard of in the scouting report knocks down 9 threes, and now you're down 5 with 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want them problems. You're on ESPN.
Even
early.
A few years ago, when the last time Wright State and Kentucky played, I don't remember the final score. Kentucky won by double digits, but it was a 10, 12-point game with 4 minutes to go. It was and we've seen in Kentucky who they lose to last year, Evansville, and then they lost every game afterwards. They fired their coach in the middle of the season, but man, they didn't care about what happened after that. They beat Kentucky, but we see that happen. They weren't supposed to be good. So Kentucky put them on the schedule, not because you would think that those bigger schools would say, man, let's go. We'll slightly challenge ourselves. We'll go get the best of those smaller conferences. No. That's why UD also doesn't put Wright State on the schedule for that reason, among many other, among boosters' approval, of course. That's why they'll spend money. They'll go get a Cleveland State. Not a good Cleveland State. Not back when they had, Norris Cole, Brent, and they had years ago they had Bryn Forbes. They had Anton Grady. They had Trey Lewis. They had all these guys. I mean, Trey Lewis would go on to play at Louisville. Bryn Forbes transferred to Michigan State. Now, I think last I checked, a backup point guard for the San Antonio Spurs. Anton Grady, of course. He went to Wichita State after that. So, I mean, no one's playing that Cleveland State team. They're playing the team that was, I think, got to the Horizon League title game a few years ago, only won 12 games. Luckily, that's the year Wright State got back to the NCAA tournament. My point is, of all these matchups that are most likely to happen, Ohio State versus Wright State, Ohio State versus UD, or Wright State versus UD, I wish I could be confident that Ohio State UD would happen. That's the one that really makes sense, but so does Wright State and UD. In the day and age of playing close games,
that Wright State UD is not happening. That's just not happening. So the only ones on the table for me is Wright State, Ohio State, and UD, Ohio State. Man, I ventured to say that the Ohio State UD game, what happened before the Ohio State Wright State game. Just something about it. I think if Ohio State dials up UD and says, let's get it on, I think they're chomping at the bit. I think they're thinking this is our opportunity. I don't care where it is. Let's get it on. That's how I think it will go down.
I was joking earlier in the summer. I said, if there was ever a year where UD should have reached out to Wright State and said, let's do this, because there was doubt that there would even be a college basketball season, not even a few months ago. So it was one of those where, UD put Wright State on the schedule and then cancel it at the last minute. And you could have at least said, hey, well, we tried, but COVID, Rona. They didn't even do that. But this is the year. If it's going to happen, it has to be this year. And that stupid excuse of, well, we don't want to put fans in the stands at the Nutter Center. Well, guess what? They can't have fans in the stands this year, at least through the end of December. So, you know what? Who cares?
All right, I got one for you. If Wright State gets a phone call from UD and says, let's do this, in that very instant, they get another call from Ohio State says, hey, you guys want to play? Which one is Wright State taking?
I think they'd take the UD game. Have a better chance of beating UD. I think the rosters, again, UD's roster, significantly better. But the gap between UD and Wright State, I've always said this, maybe not last year. Last year was good. I mean, it was a different animal last year, that team with Obi Toppin and company.
Right.
But the gap between, I think that gap's shrinking. Anthony Grant's doing a good job with that. But the gap between the gap between Wright State and UD is significantly smaller than the gap between Ohio State and UD.
Even if Ohio State is like, yo, we got this bag of money. We know that the financial situation going on at the Wright State athletics, a little shaky. We got some money for you and a game.
To be fair, the money situation's with the school, not the athletics department. But, I see your point. They have to rely on the athletics department to make the money back. From a business standpoint, yeah. So I guess that would make sense. But, the fan in me is like, no.
But you're right. They have to take that UD game if they call. Yeah. Because if they turn it down, they'll never get another opportunity and they'll never live it down. So you would have to turn out a ton of money from the biggest school in the state, one of the biggest schools in the world, to go ahead and get the opportunity that every Wright State Raider wants. They would have to do that. They would have to turn down that money.
And the other thing that should happen, like Cincinnati, Wright State should be able to get a game together too. Scott Nagy and Brandon go back. Obviously those top two coaches in the Horizon League before Brandon left NKU to take the Cincinnati job. Brandon's a hell of a coach. Those two, that would be, but Brandon knows Scott Nagy got the better of him on multiple occasions, so it's, that should happen. You should see, Xavier. It's just strange. Like I said, back when Billy Donlin was the coach, they got a lot of those Cincinnati matchups. They got the Xavier matchup. They got they got all those matchups. They got the Kentucky's, Ohio State's, which again, the reason they got those, you're at the bottom of the conference, all the preseason polls. That's when Wright State would get to those conference championship games. It was always because they were picked kind of towards the bottom, not last, but they were picked in the bottom half of the preseason polls. And then they would always do the, win out in the conference tournament, get to the title game. Of course, Billy lost 3 of the 4 straight title games he got, or he won. They made it to 3 of the last 4 title games that he was, there for, and he lost all 3 of those. But but
don't remind me.
Coach Nagy's Wright State team is much different, obviously, as far as that goes. But Tyler Shorty says he wants to interrupt this conversation and say, just checking in to tell you that Baker still sucks. Hey, I don't know, man. Baker's numbers versus the Bengals look a lot different than Tannehill's number against the Bengals. Who the Titans have this week? It doesn't matter. Luckily, they don't have the Bengals because, can't win that one. Oofa, Schrody. Alex Sheets on Facebook says, can Ohio State and UD even play each other? Big Ten football isn't allowing out of conference. How does that work in basketball? That's not a rule for basketball. For one, these two teams were supposed to not face off each other, but they had non-conference matchups in a lot of those, the crossover classic and everything in Sioux Falls for that. So Schrody said the Colts. Now, you better beat the Colts. The Browns beat the Colts, Schrody. The Browns beat the Colts, so you better beat the Colts as far as that goes. All right, our basketball stuff's done for the day, by the way. We're lucky to live for me, because I grew up the biggest basketball fan in the world. I can't tell you how pumped I am to live in a city that has so much college basketball in it. Like, that's why I laugh at the fact that so many ADs in this state complain about how difficult it is to schedule, because it's not just that you have a lot of teams in the state of Ohio. You have a lot of good teams in the state of Ohio. You have a lot of teams that compete for the conference title every single damn year. There's no excuse to talk and complain about that. That's why I always get annoyed with the UD clippings, because their athletic director, nice guy, but he comes out all the Neil Sullivan. Man, it's just difficult. We can't get anyone to come here and play. You can. You can. But that's why anyways, it's what it is. They know what they're doing, though. Can't complain. It's kind of like when I get annoyed that Wright State doesn't recruit more local kids around here. Well, can't complain if they're winning conference titles and winning games. I'm not going to complain about UD when clearly Neil Sullivan knows what the hell he's doing, because, I think those schedules have worked out in their favor. I think so.
Winning games,
he knows what he's doing.
Nice arena.
Yeah, I think Neil Sullivan knows what he's doing. In fact, I know he knows what he's doing. So who cares? As long as, hey, I may not agree with how things are operated, but if what they're doing is leading to wins, then who the hell am I to sit here? Even if they weren't, still, who the hell am I to sit here and question?
You're Jody.
We're just lucky to have the college basketball programs we do in this area. So there. Schrody says, Kenner, what do you hate more, UD or the top shelf at the grocery store? There you go. I don't shop top shelf. You know what's really annoying? When in college, my roommates in college, they would always hide all like their snacks and stuff up in like the top cupboards because I couldn't get there. Oh, goodness. Tick me off. But don't worry. Based on the looks of me, clearly I found a way.
Right.
I'm a resourceful guy. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
At Meadowbrook at Clayton, our state-of-the-art golf simulators are ready for play. Book your tee times now and get our special rate of $15 per half hour for up to 4 people per simulator. Here's your chance to play some of the great golf courses around the world, including Kiawah Island, Harbor Town, and Spain's Valderrama. Weekday and weekend hours are available, and safe prepackaged snacks and drinks are only steps away. Go online to meadowbrookatclayton.com for details. Everyone is welcome, so call and reserve your times now.
Hi, this is Paul Keels, voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Keep your home comfort system running smoothly and efficiently with regular checkups from Butler Heating and Air Conditioning. Butler has been proudly serving the Miami Valley since 1949. Don't wait until your equipment breaks. Call Butler today at 937-253-8871. That's 937-253-8871. Go Butler and go Bucks.
Some gifts say, I care about you. Some gifts say, I'm going to wow you. This year, one gift says both. It's the new Oral-B IO, the electric toothbrush with the irresistible design that dentists will find irresistible for another reason. It improves oral health by delivering the wow of a professional clean feel at home every single day. This year, give the gift of wow. The Oral-B IO. Oral-B, brush like a pro.
Napa know-how.
Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping and over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
Order! Continue, Ms. Garner.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day.
Objection! My credit card doesn't earn double miles on every purchase.
I object to your objection. With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase.
Order!
And right now, earn 100,000 bonus miles when you spend $20,000 in your first year.
I'll allow it.
No further questions, Your Honor. Well, just one. What's in your wallet?
Limited time offer. Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
At the Home Depot, we improve things. This holiday season, we've improved Black Friday. Instead of one day of crazy, we've lowered prices now, and they'll stay low all season. From decorations to dishwashers, wreaths to ratchet sets. So sleep in. You're not going to miss Black Friday. Not one little bit. Black Friday improved. The best prices of the year already here at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details.
I'm not going very far. It's too uncomfortable. I'm in a hurry. Sometimes I just forget.
There's no such thing as a good excuse for not buckling up. You're not only putting yourself at risk of injury or death, it could also cost you lots of money. Cops are writing tickets, so why take the risk? Do the smart thing and start buckling up every trip, day or night. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
With United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans, there's so much to take advantage of, like $0 copays on hundreds of prescription drugs.
Wow.
Pick up at your local pharmacy or take advantage of free delivery. To learn more, visit AdvantageWow.com.
Wow.
That's AdvantageWow.com.
$0 copay may be restricted to particular tiers, preferred medications, or mail order prescriptions during the initial